What's up, everybody? I'm Wyatt Bagnall.
Taylor Wallerstein.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, we are going to recap the 2023 NFL Draft. We're going to go team by team and just sort of giving our general thoughts on the whole thing. This isn't going to be something where we say this team gets an A, B, like grading scale, because really none of that stuff can be determined for roughly 3 years. But there are some teams that certainly on the surface came out pretty happy.
Yeah.
And others that had interesting times, others that were never going to have great drafts, especially in a draft that was viewed as, I don't want to say talent poor, but like blue chip poor.
Sure.
Like everybody felt like the second round and the third round were like, you get a lot of players that could have gone in the first because around player 20 to 50-ish, somewhere in there,
yeah,
they were all sort of clumped together.
Sure. Yeah. So, a lot of starters, not stars, in this draft.
Exactly. All right, so we'll start in the AFC East here. Which team do you want to start with?
The AFC East?
Yeah.
We might as well start with the Jets, since part of this we can talk about Aaron Rodgers now officially.
Okay, yes. So that's part of it. Aaron Rodgers is now a Jet. In terms of this year's draft, it cost them like a pick swap. They went to 15, Packers went to 13. And then some later round stuff, and a conditional 2 next year that's going to be a 1. Because if he just plays like 10 games, it's a 1.
Yeah, and he's going to do that.
Barring some crazy injury. So yeah. And so let's go through. Let's see here. I'll go through their picks that they had in like the top 100, essentially. Or like their first 3 or 4 picks.
Sure.
So at 15, they took Will McDonald, the edge rusher from Iowa State. At 43, they took Joe Tippmann, the center from Wisconsin. And then at 120, they took Carter Warren, a tackle from Pittsburgh. Overall, what do you think of that? I like their second pick better than their first one, personally.
I think the Will McDonald pick was a panic pick. Obviously, they got jumped for Broderick Jones. They needed a tackle for that O-line anyways, in their opinion. I honestly, in that situation, that's not the pick I would have made. But again, with the kind of draft that this is,
I thought for sure either Robert Saleh or Dan Campbell were gonna freaking love Nolan Smith.
Dude, that's what I was saying. Okay, I thought
for sure he was meant to be like a Jet or because
it made so much sense.
Granted, they could be scared off because he is objectively small for an edge defender, but
there aren't elite NFL training and strength coaches.
No, there are, but he's just. This was a draft of everybody being abnormally small.
Really.
Almost every wide receiver not named Quentin Johnston, and JSN was like
smaller,
outlier small, and so was Bryce Young and all that type of stuff. Like there's a lot. This was a small draft. A lot of the corners were small, other than just a couple of them. This is just a small draft.
Okay,
but
I would,
which is weird. But personally, I thought for sure like effort.
It made so much
culture
sense.
Guys. Defensive coaches, I thought would have loved Nolan Smith.
Yeah, I don't know how he fell, and of all things, I mean, we'll talk about the Eagles when we get there, but
Philadelphia Bulldogs.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure, I thought that was the pick. I was like, I would go Nolan Smith for sure.
I wouldn't have even done that. If I was them, I would have taken JSN.
Yeah, I think you're okay with
Who do they have outside of Garrett Wilson?
Alan Lazard, who's Rodgers' favorite fucking guy ever.
Except when he's actually playing and doesn't throw to him.
Whatever. They signed him for a fucking reason. And then who else do they have? Corey Davis, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying it's the best wide receiver trio in the world, but if you were valuing defense at that time, if you were going to go with a defensive, especially an edge pick, I would have just gone Nolan Smith. I completely understand. Yeah, I would go Jackson Smith. Njigba. Because the more weapons that you give Aaron Rodgers, the happier he's going to be. The more fun football is right now.
Also, just imagine him the first time he switches teams, they pick him a wide receiver right away.
That storyline is great too, because I really thought that the Packers were going to take a wide receiver in the first round. I don't know. I think good on them for doubling down on the O-line with the next 2 picks. Mm-hmm. They obviously knew they had a need there, and they wanted to address that.
Yeah.
And I like the Tippmann pick, not going tackle with the second pick. They went with the best offensive line player available at the time, and I think that's actually going to work out for him.
We saw this with a couple teams that got interior O-linemen later that were debated to be like late first-round picks potentially. Yeah. Tippmann was one of them. I don't think he was as high as... So I think he might have been like the second-rated center. I don't remember the center ratings by consensus necessarily, but I know he was one of 3 that was considered to potentially get in the late first round.
Yeah.
I don't hate that at all. Personally, man, I just don't get the first pick because I think the second pick's good because the Jets need O-line help. They already have a center with McGovern, but they can play him or Tippmann at guard this year and figure it out later. And then it also gives Elijah Vera-Tucker the potential flexibility to swing to tackle if somebody gets hurt.
Right.
So I don't mind that pick at all. I think that's a really good pick. I don't know, man. I just don't think their defense is what needed help in the first round. I would have just added the weapon. I wouldn't have hated if they took the player that the Bills took, if they took Kincaid.
I don't think that would have been
I wouldn't have hated that. I wouldn't have hated JSN. Like, that was a little high for me for Will McDonald. I thought he was going to be late first.
I thought that was weird, too. I thought that it very much felt like a Raiders pick. Where they draft a guy who is just completely supposed to be later.
Yeah.
They fall in love with this dude, and they're like, well, this was going to be potentially our second-round pick. Maybe if he would fall that late, or if we could trade up and get him a little bit later, potentially. And then it's like they just had a backup plan. They're like, well, fuck it, we'll just take the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like, well, the value is completely off. Like, it was a great value in the draft process that they had to begin with, but now it's completely off. Mm-hmm. I, honest to God, if I were them, here's what I would... You were going to get jumped anyways. Like,
there's a reason the Packers wanted...
There's a reason the Packers wanted that earlier pick. There's a reason the Steelers were going to move up a couple more picks.
Ballsy, loved it.
Great move. Good on them. And I think they would have done it even if you were still at 13. They probably would have gone for 11 or 12 possibly because there's always trade talk available.
Well, the Steelers were talked about initially going up to 9.
Yeah. So
not for no alignment. A lot of people were like, they might go up and get Jalen Carter.
Yeah. So honest to God, here's what I would have do if I'm the Jets. You just got Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. I'm fucking trading up to 8. I'm trading up to 6. I'm getting my fucking.
I'm drafted
tackle.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do feel bad for him. I'm bringing in fucking Broderick Jones, or I'm bringing in a fucking great tackle. Yeah, one of the best ones. I'm locking it down.
I felt pretty strongly that this first pick needed to be offense. Especially because your defense was already fine.
Yeah.
Like, their defense is already good.
It feels like they missed out. It really does. And I honestly... It feels like they just fucking blew it last minute. They got Aaron Rodgers. They had the fucking plan. They fumbled the bag.
They're one of 2 teams that I feel like got shocked right before they picked.
Yeah.
We'll get to the other one in a bit. But
you can't be like that.
You can, because there are some scenarios where the team in front of you did something that made no freaking sense. Like the Steelers thing,
makes sense.
I think the Jets were too passive. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the other team that we'll get to was just like genuinely shocked because it wasn't even like considered like really a scenario that much that they would take the player that they took. But yeah, overall, I don't think the Jets had a bad draft. I just found the first pick to be interesting, and I would have rather seen a weapon or them be the aggressor to go get no lineman. I understand why they might not want to trade more stuff, but whatever. I also just
you're already all in on a guy who's got maybe 1 year, 2 years in him.
Yeah,
like, you might as well just.
That's all right. Overall. Listen, Will McDonald could be good. There's other...
He probably will be. Honest to God. With Robert Saleh...
there's a couple players that where you land means a lot. And
this is one of them.
Defensive players, if you landed in, like, Houston, New York, San Fran, any place like that with, like, a defensive culture, you probably are going to be put in a better spot.
Yep.
So, yeah. But overall, Jets... Interesting draft. I don't think it was a bad draft by any means. And again, in a draft where it essentially came down to what did you value rather than who was like the great player available.
Right.
It's all right. It's fine.
It works. It's not the end of the world.
Who do you want to go to next?
Let's do New England.
New England. The Patriots. Okay.
You know what? This one actually frustrates me. I'm glad we're picking this one.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to go through 4 of their picks. I'm basically just going through the 4th round, essentially.
Cool.
All right, so First round, Christian Gonzalez. Second round, Keon White. Third round, Marty Mapu. Could be.
Marte. I don't know.
And then the fourth round, Jake Andrews. So Jake Andrews center, Mapu safety, Keon White edge, Gonzalez cornerback. Overall, not that bad. Their first 3 picks all went into defense, which says a lot. Gonzalez falling to them was, the Commanders taking, what's his goddamn name right in front of him? Super small guy. What the hell? Was it? I'm going to figure this out. What the hell is his name? Forbes. Taking, how is he the second corner off the board? And they just let listen, Gonzalez is a lot of things. He's not an awesome corner yet, but he's an awesome athlete who's close. And again, talking about situation, this is another spot for defensive players. New England is a very good spot for defensive players to go. They've made players that are way lesser athletes than that into great cornerbacks. So, hey, that's great. Good on you, man. Gonzalez is probably going to end up looking really good in that Pats jersey.
Good on him, yeah. It's absolutely a great pick, and you know what? I can't credit him. I can't fault him for it. But
you can fault.
What the hell are you doing? Not picking Jackson Smith and Jigba here.
They just don't take receivers.
I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. It fucking bothered me.
I thought the same thing.
And I was sitting there, and I'm like, dude, you have a wide receiver fucking issue. You didn't take one. All right, fine. Take a fucking
got Juju Smith-Schuster.
I don't give a shit. Take a fucking amazing ass corner in the first round because he fell to you because the Commanders are retards. Fine, I can respect that. Go ahead, take advantage of that. Fine. But then the second round comes around, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna go edge. What the fuck? It just pisses me the fuck off.
They're a defensive team, man.
I don't give a shit.
I know.
It's shit like this that makes me it's shit like this that it's literally Mac Jones is.
No, he's
I don't feel like he's asking for a lot. He's trying to prove himself. He's trying to fucking give himself a fucking career in the fucking league. And they will give him a fucking wide receiver. And shout out, you know what? Fucking Green Bay did the same fucking thing. So I fucking get it.
The difference is Green Bay. Rodgers is better than most people. So you needed to do less.
Fine. And that's exactly true and fair. And he's one of the best quarterbacks to play football in the league. But here's the thing. Only has it been proven that you get, and especially in the fucking AFC East, which is the craziest part about it, is if you get Tua or if you get Josh Allen, a wide receiver 1, all of a sudden, crazy how it happens, boom, they fucking produce. Really well. So that's what I'm saying is you have a fucking quarterback who
here's what I will say.
Objectively a good quarterback.
I know that JSN's a wide receiver 1 though.
I don't care. It's better than who the fuck they have when they let Jacoby Myers fucking walk and they don't pick a fucking wide receiver till after they pick a fucking kicker.
Hey, it is what it is.
So that is all I'm gonna say about this fucking Pats draft.
Here's why,
Bill, you're fucking washed. You need to retire.
Here's why I don't hate any of that. I would have taken probably JSN. But here's what I'll say in their defense. They're not huge on exceedingly small wide receivers. So Addison, Flowers, everybody like that, gone. They already have multiple people in the JSN role. So it's essentially, if they didn't love Quentin Johnston, it was just going to be a redundant pick.
So they should have just picked Quentin Johnston.
Because he might not be good. He's best suited to not be a 1.
Well then, get another.
This was not the draft for skill players.
Whatever. You have, fair enough. Maybe you don't dip into 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receiver 3, 4, 5, 6 on the draft board in round 2 if that's how you're operating as a franchise.
Most people weren't even consensus on who 1 is,
and that's completely understandable. I don't know. I would at least give him the opportunity.
And trust me, I would have way rather seen JSN go, considering where he ended up going.
I hate the fact that he went to the Seahawks. We'll talk about them later. Anyways, that's all I'm really gonna say. I just think.
Here's what I'll say. I think there is some. Okay, this also depends on their evaluation of Mac Jones. If they're not in on him, they're under no obligation to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And there is some value also, potentially. It's a risky game, but sometimes it works. If you zig when everyone else zags, you can potentially just hit them where they can't quite do anything about it. Especially if you're not a team that thinks that you can throw it around the yard with some of these other AFC teams. you might as well put a lot of your resources into making sure that you play tough ball and you don't give them the ball that often to do it, and you keep them cold and you do all that type of stuff. If you're not sold on the guy you have as your quarterback, there's a lot of value in not selling out in that direction.
And I can totally respect that and see the value in that, and especially if you're not sold on Mac Jones and you just want him to be, Jimmy Garoppolo, play it safe, do what daddy tells you to do, then fine. That's clearly what Bill Belichick wants. He wants a Madden team to be running exactly how he says. Mac Jones says, I want to throw it deep. He says no. So the way that I look at it, the zig and the zag, I mean, that's why I think, the Niners are so good, obviously, is they play great defensive football.
Yep.
But there is also incredible offensive firepower, so that even if you are able to find your way through a defense, there's their offense can keep up with you. I just think that you put yourself in a much better position to. And
again, I wouldn't.
I mean, some of the best teams.
If I'm picking the weapon, I wouldn't even pick the receiver. I would have picked again. I prefer the tight ends in this group to the receivers. Like I would have way rather gone. I think that they would have been a Michael Mayer guy. But sure. I think Kincaid would have been good there. He's the best receiving tight end in the class.
Sure.
Darnell Washington, just a big freak. Like
could have gotten him like round 3.
Yeah, where the Steelers did. Your buddies.
We're
gonna get over. They were the one. They were one of like the 3 or 4 that at face value came out of this pretty nice. But
I think a good draft.
Here, my only thing about this is again, I don't fault a lot of people for some of like the reaches or the things they didn't pick because it's very possible these teams just weren't in on the group. Like on the whole,
that's such a cop out.
And when Gonzalez falls,
it's like, do you not want to? What's the safest way to go skiing? Don't go skiing. It's like, that's such an easy cop out answer though.
Well, one of the quickest.
They just weren't.
Well, one of the quickest ways.
Shit.
One of the quickest ways to lose your job is to pick somebody that you don't believe in just because your team needs it, and then it doesn't work out, and you look like an idiot anyways.
I can respect.
Pick the guys that you think are going to work. And the ones that you think will suit how your team can win now.
You're not losing your job if you're Bill Belichick, though.
He is. There have absolutely been whispers going on that, like, there are things going on behind the scenes in New England.
Well, then he did exactly what got him into that conversation to begin with.
What got him in that conversation was letting Tom Brady leave.
No.
That's what got him into that conversation because Kraft never wanted Tom Brady to leave.
It's true. He didn't want Tom Brady to die a fucking Patriot.
Yes. So, frankly, it's this simple. If they were not in on a specific type of wide receiver that they wanted or needed, of which there were limited supply, they were not going to take one. And they haven't taken great receivers in the first round anyways. Like, it's not like it was going to work out. I think there's a much better chance that they can make it look better than we think with the group that they have, and then they're going to try to just lock in and play really tough defense. And try to just play a different style of football because based on everything I'm seeing, they don't believe Mac Jones.
Then they'll go 7-9 again.
I've already said they're going to be 4th in that division.
Yeah,
I don't particularly care. I just don't listen. This isn't a draft where you reach on people because there's nobody worth reaching on if you don't evaluate them properly.
I don't think 17's a reach for taking a flyer on a guy who is.
Me neither, but also when a player that a lot of people thought was like a top 10 prospect slides. There's the same value in taking that. It's just a matter of what you want. And defensive coaches are going to lean defensive players. Offensive coaches will lean offensive players. And it's just a matter of like, what again? Not to mention, corners is a position that's thin for them heading into the offseason.
Sure.
So.
And I like the Christian Gonzalez pick. I do like the pick, but I'm just.
This
is one where
I have more issue.
They were allergic to getting him a wide receiver.
I have more issue with the Keon White pick, not because I don't think he's really like potentially good. He was also discussed as a potential first rounder.
Sure,
but hold on, let me see where this guy went real quick. I got a bigger issue with the Keon White pick because I think in the 2nd round, that was the better spot to take a receiver. Had they taken like.
That's what I'm saying.
Jalen Hyatt or Cedric Tillman, somebody like that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Is if you want to go Christian Gonzalez because he fell in the 1st round, and that's incredible value at 17 to get an incredible athlete who is going to a great system, who can learn to be an incredible corner. Go for it. That sounds ideal.
But I'm just saying, I'm not hating on the first round one because
I'm not hating on the first round
I don't think that any of the first round guys, if you weren't totally sold, there's no reason. But the guys in the second round is where I would have looked more.
Yeah, exactly. And the first round pick, great, love it, knocked out of the park. Second round pick would have thrown a flyer on a receiver because you're not losing your job on.
No, I agree with you.
No one loses their job over a second round.
That's the one. I don't love that they spent their first 3 picks on defense.
Yeah.
Had it been 2 of the first 3, like the third rounder, they go with the safety or something like that. That's fine. I don't care.
Fine.
But I would have taken personally probably Jalen Hyatt because the one thing the Patriots are always sorely lacking is speed.
Yeah.
And he's really fast. So I probably would have taken a chance on Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
But that's not the way it went. And I think that what it is the Patriots are going to zig while everyone else is zagging. I think that's their goal.
Makes sense, but we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, they play in the AFC. They could probably. I think they'll be shockingly feisty, but I don't think that they'll make like the playoffs or anything. All right, where do you want to go next? Bills or Dolphins?
We'll go Dolphins.
Fins up. So they obviously didn't have a first round pick. They forfeited that.
Classic.
So in the second round, they got Cam Smith, the corner from South Carolina. Third round, Devon A. Chain, halfback from Texas A&M, and then didn't pick again until the 6th round. So they basically had 2 picks of real note.
Sure.
Cam Smith is good. He's a fine corner.
I like the pick.
I especially like it, given that they already have 2 good ones.
Exactly.
So
I think it's good depth. It's good that you don't have to rely on them.
They actually have 4, because Cater Kohu, who played in the slot last year, was competent.
Yep.
So Cam Smith comes in, does that. He might be somebody that they might. There's been some question as to whether, the type of athlete he is. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't take the slot role, if they don't sort of say, maybe we throw him back at safety and see if good enough coverage guy, but just not a particularly awesome athlete potentially, or who knows? I think he'll probably take that slot spot.
Makes sense.
And we'll see from there. And then the third round, the A-Chain pick. He's really fast, and I get it. I really thought Miami was going to try to come out of this with a higher-end O-lineman, especially because some slipped. I thought that a couple of them were going to really try to... I thought Miami in particular was going to try to refortify that, because the last thing you need when you have a quarterback that's frail is to have a porous O-line. So
yeah, that weirded me out too. Obviously with the injuries to the guys, it kind of just showed they
didn't take a lineman until the 7th round.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, especially when you have Tua as your quarterback and you're committing to him. Especially when you can make literally any running back work in that offense. So I don't think you really need to spend a higher round pick, mid round pick on a specialty guy like that. So to me personally, I really don't like this draft. I like the Cam Smith move. I think that's great.
I still at 51, man, there were linemen available. I mean, I like the Cam Smith move, but it's just a priority thing for me, especially when you got Howard and Ramsey and the secondary was not a perceived weakness. Yeah. He could have just been the best player they had on the board, and maybe they just went with it. But man, there was a couple linemen that were there in that second round.
And that's kind of the way I see it myself. Is okay, maybe all right. I'm fine with you going with your best perceived available player right at that moment. At the end of the at the end of the day, second round pick, it's your first pick in the draft. You have to basically get a first rounder in your second round pick now. I understand you go for we're gonna put this guy in the best position to be as successful as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that, obviously, by bringing him in. Now, with that next pick, I probably would have gone O-line. Even if it's just depth.
Yeah.
Even if he's just a fucking guy who has never missed a fucking game, I'd bring him in just for durability's sake and depth's sake. So, and I don't think you need Elijah Higgins, who is a fine athlete, don't get me wrong, and a hell of a receiver, but you don't need a receiver. I know it's fucking pick 197, so it's not the fucking...
It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, it's not like a fucking 3rd or 4th round pick, but it's genuinely depth. You had O-line issues, you had injuries, and you only brought in one O-line at the end of the fucking day.
Yeah.
At the end of the 3rd day, excuse me. So for me, it's just
not the day, the third day.
Exactly. So for me, it's just, I don't know. You got a quarterback who's super fucking frail. He's constantly hitting his fucking head because he falls backwards too hard.
He's got a If I'm them, I'm insisting. They just came out with a new helmet specifically for quarterbacks with extra protection on the back of the head.
Get him that Wes.
Your ass is in that helmet. That Wes Welker shit.
Yeah, get him that Wes Welker shit.
Make him look like he's out of Spaceballs.
Exactly. It's just, I don't know. It's not a great. It seems like something that they go quarterback O-line all next draft, and they're planning a weaker season, which is crazy because they're
not planning a weaker season. I think that it just didn't fall their way.
I think they're, I don't know. Tinfoil hat, they're fucking, they're definitely going to bring in
Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
they're not going to be nearly bad enough.
Even
if Tua were to get hurt week 1, the problem with them now is their team is too good to
I don't know. You've seen worse, but
to be worse than Arizona or Tampa Bay this year.
I don't know, but I'm just, dude. There's a reason it's tinfoil hat time.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's fair. Again, I don't hate too much on teams that didn't pick till later because on some level it's sort of who fell to you.
I still think
but I think that the Dolphins picked high enough that there was some level of being proactive to still be involved. I don't know that I love it. Don't hate Cam Smith, but I just think my priority would have been different.
Sure.
Now, on to a team that also, fucking kind of killed it.
Yeah.
The Bills. In the first round, they take tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Second round, they get the guard Osiris Torrance from Florida. And then in the third round, Dorian Williams, linebacker from Tulane. They didn't pick her again until the fifth. Okay. First and foremost, Dalton Kincaid was considered by many to be the best tight end in this class. Certainly the best receiving tight end, so that checks one of the weapons boxes that Buffalo needs.
Yep.
Second of all, Osiris Torrance was the best pure guard prospect in this class, thought by many to be going at the end of the first round. They got him near the end of the second round. If Peter Skoronski plays guard, he might be the best guard, but in terms of pure guard prospects, Torrance is really good. That helps the O-line need. And then the third one, Dorian Williams, not a particularly strong linebacker class, but you don't have to be particularly strong at linebacker, especially because you already got Milano, and you got a decent enough D-line, you got a good secondary. So he'll probably slide into that Edmonds spot.
Sure.
Ultimately, man, I'm a big fan of this Bills draft.
Yeah, no, it's great. I couldn't be more of a fan. I'd cap it off with trading for DeAndre Hopkins now. And, I mean, you are...
I'm not sure it's going to happen. Have you heard Have you heard him coming out and be like, who says I want to be traded?
Yeah,
that's a sign of a man who might not have gotten any deals that he wanted out there.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, I don't know, find some way to bring him in, whatever the fuck it takes. If it takes a second-round pick for next year now that the draft's over, I'd go for it. I'd say fuck it.
Well.
Two solid wide receivers. You got Dalton Kincaid, who can play a tight end 2 behind Dawson Knox.
I think he'll be tight end 1.
I think he will be by the end of the season, but I think you kind of ease him into the passing game.
I think you play him like Travis Kelce right away, where you're just like, listen, dude, we're not even going to have you in line very much. You're just going to split out.
Fuck it. That would be awesome. I'm not even complaining.
You're essentially going to play the slot.
Not even complaining.
I think that might be what I do. They're like, if you want to put a slot corner on him, great. You're way bigger. Safety, you're still bigger. Might be a little tougher. Linebacker, just be faster.
I'm down for it.
Because, again, Dawson Knox is pretty good. I wouldn't be shocked by a couple more, 2 tight end sets or anything like that. But, I don't know, man. Everybody loves to make fun of the Bills right now because, they were the favorite last year and it all fell apart, yada, yada, yada. Don't get it twisted. That team is not a team that's, on the downturn.
No. They got better this entire offseason, and like I said, I just want a wide receiver 2 in there personally.
Yeah, a true one.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay even if they don't have that right now, but especially with bringing Dalton Kincaid in, but yeah, if there's anybody who's available who can be a solid wide receiver 2, I fucking go out and get them, trade or anything.
Yeah, and I think that there will be some. I think that now that the draft is over, you're going to see another little flurry of people picking everybody up who they didn't fill the role for in the draft.
Right.
And then we'll reevaluate then and do real deep dive. Okay, how did this offseason go for everybody?
Yeah.
But so far, I'm liking what the Bills did, man. This was a good draft. They got 2 guys that were considered the top of their positions, and there were 2 spots that the Bills needed.
Yep.
So, I'm cool.
It's good stuff.
Good job, Buffalo. Not a whole bunch to debate there. Nope. Now on to your division. Where do you want to start?
We'll do Cincy last, so we'll go Browns first.
Cleveland. All right, Brownies. They didn't have a pick till the 3rd round.
Right.
So, let's see here. And they still actually got a couple players that are not that bad. So they got Cedric Tillman, the wide receiver from Tennessee. Siaki Ika, the interior D-lineman from Baylor. DeJuan Jones from Ohio State, the tackle. And then not a whole bunch of relevant ones until I'm just going to throw this one in because it's potentially interesting.
Sure.
Oh, wow. They got a couple ones late. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the QB from UCLA. I don't think he's going to play, but a lot of people are like, that's an interesting potential guy, and I think as a backup, that's not a bad backup to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And then I don't know exactly how this happened, but they got the second highest graded center in the draft, Luke Whippler, in the 6th round.
It was a weird draft.
So that's a very weird draft. So ultimately, though, they might have got 2 starters on the O-line with DeJuan Jones and Luke Whippler.
Yeah.
Another wide receiver with Cedric Tillman to go with Amari Cooper. I like the Browns draft.
It was a fine draft.
Especially with the perspective of it started in the 3rd round for them. Good on you, man. Defensive interior, they need help with run defense. Get a nice D tackle. Cool.
Yep. I think it was a fine draft. I'm actually kind of upset that we didn't bring in DeJuan Jones ourselves.
I heard he had a weird, he rubbed some teams the wrong way, apparently.
I don't care. If you're big, with how big he is.
You can be too big.
Yeah, but, alright, well, but seriously, fucking pick 111.
Oh, trust me. By the 3rd round, I would have been like,
fuck. I'd be like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it. That's what I was saying, is why didn't we fucking do that?
I have that criticism of my team. It's at some point,
just say fuck it, exactly.
Especially if you might need the spot. It's that might work.
Exactly, we might have to trade Jonah Hill. I'd say fuck it, at least bring in a beast and have Jackson Carman fucking compete for it, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually like that pick a lot by the Browns. I hate that it was by the Browns. The Cedric Tillman pick is fine. I don't...
He's one of the rare receivers in this draft that's big and physical.
Yeah, he'll be... I'm not super interested in him, but it is what it is.
I like him. I would have taken him, personally, before Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers, anybody like that.
Everyone's just trying to be the Bengals. I guess I'm just spoiled.
Why the hell would you want... He's not a Bengals-type receiver.
No, I'm just saying everybody wants to be like the Bengals and have a bunch of great wide receivers.
I think, honestly, if we were picking the team that we were all trying to build it's the fucking Eagles.
Whatever.
I'm just saying.
No, the Eagles just literally went, okay, did you guys watch the national championship? Yeah, cool. That's what we're doing.
Well, it's annoying that no one else decided to do that.
No, I know. You see 2 Georgia players go. Can somebody fucking bring in Ringo?
Until he did.
Yeah, and then that's what I'm saying is that you know what Philly's doing. Yeah. Can you just fucking be like, all right, you know what?
No.
Right in front of
you. Get him.
Yeah, it's how many fucking corners went before Ringo?
I'm not sure.
I kind of want to look it up. He went in the 2nd round? Right?
No. Later.
Third round?
I'll figure it out right now.
I'm looking at it. Fuck you.
Keely Ringo went in the 4th round.
4th round. Perfect.
Yeah.
First of all, what the fuck is he doing falling in the fucking 4th round?
He just didn't test well.
And then Jacorian Bennett went fucking before him in the fucking 4th round. The pick literally right before him. So the fucking Raiders were like, oh yeah, we're going to pick a corner, just not the fucking Georgia player. There was a Sidney Brown.
No, we'll get there. We'll get there later.
We'll get there.
But
whatever.
Ultimately, here's what I'll say: for a team whose draft started in the 3rd round, good job by the Browns. That's all. That's the most of what I got on this. Especially if Whippler works out, if DeJuan Jones works out, all of a sudden this draft's gonna look even better.
Yeah,
I think Cedric Tillman can be a capable number 2, especially with Amari Cooper. This potentially works out nicely.
Sure.
All right, now where do you want to go? Baltimore or Pittsburgh?
We'll go Baltimore.
And we cannot start off the Ravens thing without saying that they got the Lamar deal done, and it was not fully guaranteed, and ultimately the Ravens ended up winning that debate.
Big surprise.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'm glad it's over so I don't have to fucking hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's over so I don't have to sit on the fence of, hey, is Lamar going to be out of my division or not? Yeah. Now I'm like, good, Lamar's in my division. Now let's just pummel the shit out of him.
Now let's beat him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that. But also at the same time, like, congratulations to the Ravens for fucking dunking on this guy, making him fucking emasculating him on national
I think
television.
beyond that, we need to thank the Baltimore Ravens on behalf of the National Football League for putting their foot fucking down on those contracts.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they stuck to that. I'm glad that, everybody said it was blackballing, but it was like, or whatever the fuck whatever it's called.
Collusion.
Yeah, whatever. And I was just like, no, like, look at what basketball players are fucking capable of doing. Like they can fucking sign a fucking deal. It's fully fucking guaranteed.
And then they back out.
And then they back the fuck out, or they demand a trade in a year and a half because they're fucking
you're stuck.
Whiny babies.
Well, here's the other thing.
Even
Even the Browns one, they're having to restructure the Deshaun Watson deal like every year.
Yeah,
because it's not a practical deal to make.
No.
And by the way,
fit in the NFL.
The other 31 teams should not be responsible for the act of one of the most dysfunctional teams in football.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
just because like you have an employee and you really want to keep him, you make him a good offer, but the dumbass across the street makes him like a really great one that's just completely impractical. That doesn't mean you mess up your thing because of that.
Yeah, no, it's oh my god.
We should not be taking cues from the Cleveland Browns in general, people.
You don't watch a company that's completely fucking inept fucking pay their fucking CEO a completely ridiculous amount of money instead of fucking actively trying to fix their fucking problem. Or I guess in a perfect world that's how it would go down. But anyways, speaking about the Baltimore Ravens, let's just go with that. Congratulations on getting it done so that nobody has to deal with it for 5 more years.
And for
Lamar is going to completely fall off, which is great for me. So I'm super excited about that. But let's talk about what you did.
So they got Zay Flowers, Boston College, wide receiver. Trenton Simpson, linebacker, Clemson. And then Tavius Robinson, edge from Mississippi in the 4th round. And then they sort of attacked O-line towards the back end.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. They're another team that got like a highly graded O-lineman late.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a sec, but
he went to SC.
I'm a little bit upset about that one, but and especially because of how late he
is he? Oh, is he the one that tore his ACL?
He was the 1st round prospect. He tore his ACL, and I'm like 5th round. Yeah, of course.
Well, someone took a flyer.
Look who fucking did, but of course, every fucking team in the division took one of my fucking players this year. I was like, what the?
You're like, what is happening?
And I was like, this is all my time as being a Denver fan, this has never fucking happened. Every now and then, the Chargers have taken somebody I fuck with, and I'm like, fuck you, because I hate the Chargers. But this time, I literally watched the fucking Browns do it, I watched the fucking Steelers do it, and I watched the fucking Ravens do it. Yeah, the Steelers did it like 6 times. It fucking feels like, and the Ravens do it every fucking year. Like, so I knew the Ravens would fucking do it, but this one hurts the most because I felt like I was the fucking.
You're like, I'm ahead of this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and of course, so was my rival team. Fucking. But anyways, Zay Flowers. Another 1st round wide receiver for Lamar. It's not going to work out.
He's going to fill the same Hollywood Brown role,
and he's going to be gone. Like,
honestly, the only way this works is if Odell works, because Odell plays a role that's much more suitable to Lamar, which is like crisp routes and is more versatile.
Sure.
Lamar isn't necessarily a bombs away type of thrower, but he could be a nice like timing guy with Odell. So, like, of the wide receivers they brought in, that's the one I would watch out for.
Every wide receiver we've brought in for Lamar, we've said, I'd watch out for this.
Okay, but let's not pretend like this isn't the best one, theoretically, that they brought in.
I can't say that.
I can.
Okay.
He's better than what Sammy Watkins was when they brought him in. Who else they bring in?
Sure. You've already drafted a fucking 1st round wide receiver in Hollywood fucking Brown. You keep bringing in fucking guy after guy after fucking guy after guy. Like, all high talent guys, all like, dude, at a certain point, the fucking engine of the offense is fucking not going. We better replace the wheels again. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not convinced. Good, fantastic. Zay Flowers is a great athlete. So were every other fucking wide receiver they brought in. sucks. This is what's going to happen when you have a quarterback, Lamar. Since Lamar entered the league and has played for the Baltimore Ravens have had the 32nd ranked fucking wide receiver.
Here's how this is going to go this year. This team is going to be the best team in the AFC North for 7 weeks, and then everything's going to fall apart.
Exactly. The Bengals are going to fucking start out at the gate fucking rolling down a hill again. And everyone's going to be like, are they done? Is it over? And we're going to be like, no, relax.
And then the entire O-line will fall apart again right before the playoffs for them.
Don't even fucking say that. You're going to lose all fucking 4 of your quarterbacks again, fucking dickhead.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, oh my God.
Maybe.
So,
I mean, at this point, it was just more impressive.
Anyways, we're going to watch fucking Lamar play like a fucking Lamborghini for 7 fucking weeks, and then he's going to be broken down in the shop like a Lamborghini for the fucking next 8. Mm. And fucking Joe Burrow is going to be that consistent fucking all-terrain monster fucking...
And then everybody's going to be so pissed off when out of nowhere the Steelers just return to form and take the damn thing. Because they're just sneaky.
We'll talk about them, but I agree.
We can.
They had a really good draft.
They had a good free agency, too.
Yes, I don't think that's outrageous. But
no, it's not. And especially because, listen, I don't care what anybody says. I'll still pound the table on this. In terms of coaches in that division, and in a sport where it matters more than any other sport, the Steelers are head and shoulders above everybody else in the AFC North.
Tomlin's insane.
Yes.
Tomlin's a monster, so
yeah,
I agree. But
again, Baltimore doesn't blow me away with this draft, but they didn't do anything bad either. Like,
no, they do what they always do.
And then, like you said, go off on that late round flyer real quick, because for the most part here, the Ravens did everything good in terms of filling the needs people thought they had early.
Yeah.
And then they take a nice little piece late from your favorite college. Well, one of your favorite colleges.
One of my favorite. I got like 6, but...
yeah, I was supposed to say one of them, though.
Yeah, bounce around, but...
he's a casual fan, guys.
I'm not casual. I just have ties everywhere. Yeah, so they ended up taking a flyer on Andrew Voorhees, who obviously tore his ACL in the whole draft process.
Wasn't it at the combine?
Yeah, I think it was at the combine.
Yeah, then he went and pumped up the bench right after.
Dude, yeah, and then he pumped out the bench. Dude, he was an animal. Like, he proved himself right then and there. It's like,
that's what Trojans do.
It's like, dude, I pick him 3rd round. Like, honestly, like, if there isn't somebody specifically I like who I need to plug in round 3, I'd say fuck it, take a flyer on this guy that early, and then next year you have a fucking 1st round fucking lineman in your group. I think that's assuming he comes back, but I think proving that now, I think he proved. Yes, I think he proved that he would be able to come back by after tearing his ACL, ripping that many.
Oddly enough, Baltimore did the same thing last year. There was I forget his goddamn name right now, but there was a player last year who was considered like one of the better edge prospects in the draft who tore his Achilles in the process.
Yeah.
And Baltimore took him last year.
Yeah.
Like, Baltimore, I think, eyes this, where they're like, who's the guy that's really good that is going to slide just because of bad luck? Gimme.
Yeah, because they let their bad luck.
Well, that is the risk. But here...
Look, they're always injured.
No, I agree.
Bringing a guy who gets injured.
No, I got you. But also, I mean, you can't say that you would do that and then blame the Ravens for doing it.
No, I just think it's fun. I just made it. It's just a funny comment.
I got you, but I'm just saying that again. This is what we're talking about.
And there's only a few players I do it on. I don't do it on every.
I know, but I'm just saying. Also, that's the whole point of a flyer. Of the dude, he just had an injury. But if he comes back, we just got a player that would have been in the 1st round in the 7th.
Yeah, the value on that's ridiculous, and I think Andrew Voorhees does come back, to be completely honest, and I think it ends up being a great pick. Something I wanted the Bengals to do.
Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum, slide him into that old Marshall Yonda spot.
Oh, yeah. He's got the time. You've got the time. Oh, my God.
Not to mention, Baltimore... They're good at the only way you're good as a run team is if you're good at developing the O-line. Baltimore is one of the spots where, listen, like we mentioned for defensive players, same thing with O-line. There's some places that have great O-line coaches. Baltimore is one of them.
Yep.
So good for them.
Great for them.
All right, let's go to the Steelers before we let you go on your guys. All right, Pittsburgh. Now let's just take a moment to appreciate what happened here for the Steelers. Okay.
Sure.
Pick 14, Broderick Jones, tackle, Georgia. Pick 32, top of the 2nd round. This is a player everybody thought was going in the 1st round. Joey Porter Jr., his dad coaches for the Steelers also. You love to see it. Played for them also, won a Super Bowl. Pick 49, Keanu Benton, defensive tackle, Wisconsin. Also good. Round 3, Darnell Washington, tight end, Georgia. And then round 4, Nick Herbig, edge, Wisconsin. Every single one of their players that they drafted were considered top 12 at their position. Down through the fucking 4th round.
Pretty good
What?
Draft. Pretty good.
I mean, the Steelers got aggressive, not crazily aggressive, but went up, took Darnell Washington or Broderick Jones, who a lot of people were like, there's sort of a group of guys that could be the best tackle in the draft. He's one of them. Could work. Joey Porter Jr., great corner from Penn State. You love to see it. Ben, defensive interior. I mean, I think that this is he might not be an immediate impact guy, but Cam Hayward's getting up in age, and the Steelers are the type of team that I just saw Troy Polamalu's Hall of Fame speech just in one of my feeds, and what he was talking about is something rare in Pittsburgh that doesn't exist everywhere else is that you take pride in teaching your replacement, and I wouldn't be shocked if this is Cam Hayward's opportunity to start teaching the guy that's going to replace him. And then another Bulldog, Darnell Washington, who not only, as if the Steelers needed another tight end, they already got Pat Freiermuth there too. Good job.
They didn't fucking need him.
They didn't. You did.
Fucking need him, dude.
You didn't need him, man.
Fucking need
I
him.
want you to talk about the Steelers because they're one of the teams that, on the surface of it, did a damn good job. Let's see if they managed to steal anybody late. Nothing crazy.
No, nothing.
But their first 4 or 5 picks, it's whoo.
Yeah, they had a great draft. Good for them.
You hate to see it. You especially hate to see it because I really do think that here's what I would say. If there was a team that was to resemble the 49ers style in the AFC, which is they will find a way to win differently from everybody else in the AFC, it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think you got a great tackle. You got a great tight end.
Yeah.
Both of which I was
corner.
I was really big on. Great corner I was also big on.
Really wanted them all.
Great corner I was big on.
You need to stop wanting players.
And I guess, in Denver I got everything I wanted until I got everything I didn't want.
Until Drew Lock got locked out.
That wasn't his fault. Fucking big. But yeah, even the Nick Herbig
brings another brother pairing in. Pittsburgh had a feel-good draft, too.
It's really cool.
With Joey Porter and Herbig, that's 2 feel-good picks, too.
Yeah. Great draft for him. Obviously, it's awesome. Joe Burrow's better than Kenny Pickett, so I'm not ever really worried. But
careful.
I would say,
is your right tackle better than TJ Watt?
We're working on that.
I just enjoy this.
No, we're fine.
But for the record, I'm still picking Cincinnati in the North. But
that's really kind
I do think that if there's a team lurking, I think it's Pittsburgh.
I think they're a shark in the water for sure. I think the Ravens are the favorite. The favorite.
Why?
The favorite to come get us.
Oh. Dude, I think of the ones in there, I think the Ravens are the one. I think that the Ravens will be firmly third place.
That's what I'm saying. I think the Ravens end up being third place. I think paying Lamar ends up, I think it becomes very clear fuck. It's a bad idea.
I have more faith that this is the scenario nobody talks about enough. There's a very real chance that last year was a preseason essentially for Deshaun Watson. And I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I know, I get that. But I'm just saying, if we're talking about teams lurking, imagine if he actually was just needing to get back into it.
You know what? Here's what I'd say. I think the Ravens end up 4th in the fucking division.
I got to see some stuff play out because I just got a little too much respect for them. But I'm saying, this is a division that could be way closer than people think.
I think it's going to be super close. I think the Ravens fall out at the end. I think the Browns take third.
And somehow the Steelers.
The Steelers will take second. I think Cincinnati holds on to it for another year. But that's
overlook anybody in that division.
I'd say the AFC North,
they're up there.
It has never been tighter.
The AFC East could potentially also be tight. The South might be tight for all the wrong reasons, but
the South will be interesting.
The tight will be the South.
The West will be tight with at least
second place will be tight
with at least. I think. With at least the Broncos and the
Chargers.
Yeah, the Broncos and the Chargers will step it up.
I think the Broncos and Chargers will battle for 2 until somebody beats the Chiefs. I'm done going out on that limb.
Sure, fair enough.
But
it'll still be up their division though.
No, I agree. The AFC on the whole is a bunch of teams that are built really similar too. So it's sort of like,
and it's just stacked with quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, that's why I find myself particularly intrigued by Pittsburgh, because they're a team that's really talented. They're like San Francisco in terms of really talented defensively. They got Pickens, Deontay Johnson,
I like it. Yeah, I like the
like Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. Building the O-line, might have just like a competent enough quarterback.
We're going to get some classic
Like,
AFC North football.
That's the type of team, though.
This is going to be fun.
Oh, I know. But I'm just
excited.
like, that's the team. If anybody's going to do it different, I am looking directly at Pittsburgh, PA.
I'm excited.
Not to mention, I'll fully admit this. I root for the Steelers more than anybody else in that division. Like, I just really, especially, and there's only one sole purpose for it, and it's because when I was growing up, like, I fucking love Troy Polamalu.
Okay.
So, just because of him, I was like, I like the Steelers, man. They're cool.
Sure.
But we'll see. And now on to your boys, shall we? Do we dare?
Let's do it.
Let's dare.
I'm excited.
All right. So, I'll go through their first 4 picks also.
Cool.
End of the first round, Miles Murphy, edge Clemson. Round 2, DJ Turner, cornerback Michigan. Round 3, Jordan Battle, safety Alabama. Round 4, Charlie Jones, wide receiver Purdue. Now, I'm going to just get my spiel out of the way, like always, and then just let you roll.
Cool.
All right. This is a draft that, to me, reads as the Bengals preparing for the Joe Burrow contract, where they realize some of the guys they're not going to be able to keep.
Yeah.
Miles Murphy coming in signals the end of Trey Hendrickson. Especially with the way he's played, he will not be able to be there through another deal. Which, this is not saying it's a knock on Cincinnati or anything like that.
No,
this is part of what you have to do when you pay that position.
It's completely standard.
Yes. So this isn't me saying like, oh, Cincinnati just can't keep somebody. I'm saying that when you pay specific guys, you big contracts, you have to be like aware of who you are willing to cycle in and out.
And I would like to preface this with, I don't know, but I'd like to preface this with, there's already talks about re-signing Logan Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
There's already talks about re-signing T. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously paying Jamar Chase.
That's why.
And you're paying Joe Burrow. That's 4 contracts within 2 years.
And that's the other one why I felt the prep was in with Charlie Jones, the wide receiver. Tyler Boyd's not going to be the one that stays.
No, he's gone.
So I think that's what I think that one signals to me.
Yep.
Jordan Battle, good pick, safety from Bama.
Great.
Not hugely athletic or anything like that, but as long as you're just and he's been said that like he might not be a flashy player or anything like that, but he's rarely out of position, which that's all you have to be at safety.
Perfect.
Dax, I'm not sure which one is better suited to free or strong or whatever like that.
Okay,
But Battle and Dax Hill will play the 2 safety spots.
Yeah.
And then DJ Turner coming in one of the corner spots. They reinforced the back end. I like that they went essentially defense because your offense is fine.
Yeah.
Listen, we mentioned this. Perhaps you want to go with DeJuan Jones in one of these spots, something like that for the right tackle spot. But I do think there is value in the way they did it. Like, hold on, let me see here where he went, just so I can see exactly who they took instead of taking him. Okay, so he went 111. Who'd they? So they wouldn't have taken Jordan Battle.
Yeah.
Is essentially what it is. Which you can make your pick on whichever it is. It's possible that he just, from what I heard, he was really not impressive to teams in like the interview process and everything like that. And they felt he had bad weight.
Yeah, I like Jordan Battle.
Yeah, like they felt he had bad weight. There was a reason they felt that there was a reason he didn't want to do a lot of the testing and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I understand that some teams probably just wouldn't value him in this spot, and that's totally fine.
Perfectly fine. I value Jordan Battle in spot 95.
Yep.
Incredibly highly.
Yep. So I'm cool with it. I mean, in terms of safeties, he's somewhere in the top 5. I mean, there was really only one safety everybody was like really good, and that was Brian Branch.
Right.
Everybody else is like,
and I don't need another first round.
Could be solid. No, well he went way later.
No, that's true.
But he still went before Battle and everything like that. But and I'm saying that as a complimentary pick of the Bengals here. They still got a solid starter. As you said, starters not stars a lot in this draft. They got a starter there.
Yep.
I think they got 4 guys that will contribute for them. I don't know that Charlie Jones out of Purdue, I don't know that he contributes right away in terms of a big role. But again, him and Miles Murphy to me were the ones that are like, okay, the Bengals mindset has officially shifted from like actively adding in players everywhere to when we know what we're going to lose, we need to just be preemptive and reinforce the spot.
Totally.
So that's what I took from this draft. I like this draft for the Bengals. I don't think it's the Steelers draft or anything like that.
Sure.
But I also think that the Steelers were like top 3. So I think what this draft was, at least for me, this was more of a philosophical draft for the Bengals of mindset has shifted. It shifted correctly.
Yep.
And I like the picks.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think I agree 100% that the Steelers had a top 3 draft. I'd say the Steelers are drafting for different reasons.
Yep. They are in the building phase.
Yeah, which has put them in a position to have a top 3 draft because, if they're bringing, especially with the kind of talent they brought in, specific pieces designed to, these are the holes we have. Bengals don't really have holes. We did a good job of bringing in the right, paying the right people to come in for depth pieces, paying, re-signing the right people here and there for key pieces that, we can get for cheap. What I love about this draft is I was screaming Michael Mayer at 20. At 28.
Yeah, I bet you were.
I was screaming Michael Mayer. I wanted it so badly.
He went way later than I thought.
He did go a lot later than I thought too, which actually I was hoping they would trade up and get him and maybe do something.
He was the third tight end.
Yeah, and it was like mid-second or very early second.
Second round somewhere.
Yeah, but I was pounding the table for Michael Mayer. I wasn't really super pumped about the Miles Murphy pick at the time. I knew why we did it, and I knew it was a good pick. I just wasn't super stoked about it because I'm an offensive guy. After about 5 minutes, I finally was like, all right, this is actually really
calm
good pick.
down.
Like, I love it. Like, good move. Like, come on, let's get a tight end. Like, I was big this entire draft. Let's get a tight end. Every round came by when I didn't get a fucking tight end. And I watched a lot of these awesome tight end prospects get drafted, and I was just like, fuck, and we literally never took.
And then he screamed when Darnell Washington went off the board.
That one really annoyed me, but I get it. I actually really love how the draft went. Like, I know I'm sounding super negative, but the Miles Murphy pick, the DJ Turner pick, and the Jordan Battle pick, those 3 rounds are, on paper, obviously, because, again, we'll wait a couple years before this all becomes, here's exactly how well this draft went. But I would say on paper, this is exactly what we needed to do. Kind of how you said it. The mindset has shifted, and it's shifted in the right way of let's not go all in on a lot of talent that we're going to lose in 3 years and try to go win 1 ring. It's let's be competitively consistent and maybe try to we want to be there every year.
This is the Eagles' philosophy, and they were doing this before they were contenders. But their philosophy is they have the spots they prioritize, and they constantly make sure that it's reinforced.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. This is like they need edge defenders. Hubbard is going to be cheaper to keep than Hendrickson. I think Hendrickson's going to price himself out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hubbard takes a Cincinnati hometown discount because he's from the area.
I think he's likely to do that.
I think he'd love that.
Trey Hendrickson is bound to be a Raven.
God, that would suck. Anyways, I think the Miles Murphy pick is going to be great. He's got time. There's time to kind of develop him a little bit, which I don't think he needs a shit ton of it.
Yeah.
But I think there's, you can kind of ease him into the process. DJ Turner, great. Throw him in with the depth, let him learn a little bit. He could end up being a great 1-2. We also have Cam Taylor-Britt, who's on year 2, who, can be cornerback 2. We have Chidobe Awuzie, who can.
Yeah. Well, I'm always pro any cornerback pick because you really can't have enough of them, especially because it's such a volatile position. Any one of them can be up and down at any time.
I agree.
Unless you have like one of the 5 really, truly great ones.
I agree. And I love the Jordan Battle pick. This is a guy I always drafted Madden because he is genuinely that good of a player when it comes to he's always there. And so I like the player a lot. The fact that we got him works perfectly, especially because I do think I was kind of in a position of like, what the hell? Why didn't we get a safety in free agency? They were a lot cheaper than I expected. I kind of thought we'd bring in somebody other than, Nick Scott, which, no disrespect. I was happy we brought in somebody, but this is perfect. Dax Hill gets the chance to shine. We get Jordan Battle, who could become a guy, and then we got Nick Scott, who can kind of, fill in as a veteran. That is awesome. Charlie Jones, I am super stoked about. I'm a huge fan of the guy from Purdue. I have watched some of his highlights already going into the draft process. I was really, I compared him to Alec Pierce. He's very, similar in that way.
Okay, yeah.
He's
Colts receiver.
Yeah, he's super speedy. He's got great route running, good hands. He can go up and get the ball. He's good in traffic as well. It's not just, get open. So I honestly did not think that we would go and grab this guy, but when I saw that we drafted him, I was freaking stoked. I love him as a wide receiver 4 and kind of what the Trent Irwin role did, because we are kind of branching out our wide receivers and getting a lot more involved. So he can kind of, Trent Irwin will obviously battle him for that role a little bit because Trent Irwin is undrafted. He's going to fight for that role as much as he can and in the process teach Charlie Jones. But what I'm really excited about is the kind of athlete he is. While we do still have Tyler Boyd on contract, having those 4 guys as our wide receivers, that is a great wide receiver 4. That gives us even more depth, which is something we struggled earlier in the season with when Jamar was out and T was out and Tyler's out and fucking everybody's out. Hayden Hurst is fucking out. So I love it. That's a great move, great depth piece, and he's a hell of a fucking athlete. I think he could end up being wide receiver 3 in his foreseeable future. So we'll see how that all goes. Chase Brown. Fun, athletic running back out of Illinois. I'm glad that we're bringing in somebody to kind of take over that Samaje Perine role. We've got.
You actually learned how to say his name. Look at you go.
I nailed it.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thanks. And then obviously we have Chris Evans in there, who is, can kind of take over and be a little bit of a veteran in that room. Hopefully we end up using him, but as Bengals fans know, we don't like that guy at all, even though he's a hell of an athlete. Finally, I will just kind of finish it off with, I guess, what I really wanted from this team, which was freaking tight end. We didn't get it, but
you got a punter.
We did get a punter, which is interesting.
Which is basically the same thing.
Not quite. I think it's interesting.
Plug him in, man.
I like the punter that we ended up bringing in. We had this, I think his name's Drew Cook or something like that. He honestly was fine. He had a hell of a leg and he was accurate.
Look at each of our teams took a Michigan special teamer. You took the punter, we took the kicker.
Nice.
Look at us.
Let's go. Let's get the jerseys for Michigan. But yeah, so I'm now at the point where I genuinely trust this franchise. This draft kind of.
That means
it's a dangerous game. but so here's the thing. I'm you know what? You didn't get the tight end I was looking for. Michael Mayer was basically begging on his knees to be a fucking Bengal. There's literally a clip of him where he turns and looks at his whoever it is, and he's like, the Bengals picking 2 picks, right? And I'm just he's gonna be a Bengal. I got myself.
He probably was told by somebody that depending on who's there, he'd probably be the guy.
Yeah, and he was in the entire draft process I want to go to the Bengals. I want to go to the Bengals. I want to go to the Bengals. So it sucks that I really hate that the Raiders took him too, which pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah.
But I wanted him for sure. I wanted Darnell Washington as well. I think he's awesome. But you know what? Irv Smith, I think, is going to be fine in the role. I can trust the team that they brought this guy in who's going to be a great piece that Joe Burrow can get paid next offseason on a different team. I would just like somebody who's consistent, a good athlete who I can constantly be yes, this is a Bengal. I thought Michael Mayer would have been a fantastic Bengal. Yeah. But I'm excited Charlie Jones is a Bengal.
He seems like too good of a guy to be a Raider.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like
I thought he could have fit in really well in Dallas too.
I think he would have been fine in Dallas. I thought Dallas
Jason Witten 2.0.
I thought they were going to take him, but I don't like him in the black and silver. I actually fucking hate it. So I'm going to be very unhappy until he's a free agent. We sign him for a 1-year deal and get him paid somewhere else. But
that's fair. Anyways, all right, let's move on from Cincinnati here.
Great draft. Very exciting.
All right, AFC South. Who do you want to start with?
Go Titans. Fuck them.
Titans. All right. Titans actually took the player that I've been saying was meant to be a Titan all along. How the hell can you not take a big O lineman named Skoronski for the Titans? What are we doing?
I'm glad that was the right pick.
I agree. And I think what's going to happen is everybody's questioning if he's a tackle or a guard because of the length of his arms. I think they will give him a shot at tackle. If he is struggling, I think he kicks inside and is immediately a really good guard.
Yeah.
This is a Titans approach, especially when you're tearing it down to the studs. A good place to rebuild it is in the O-line and the D-line first.
Sure.
So they took the best O-lineman in the draft. And that's good by me. Good on them. I mean, so they took him in the first round. Round 2, they got Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. Round 3, Tyjae Spears, the running back from Tulane. And then they didn't pick again until the 5th round. I love their first 2 picks.
You like the Will Levis pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially in the second round.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Second round for sure. I mean, listen, here's the other thing. If you took his last 2 years of Kentucky, one of them's really good. And the other one, everybody left, the system changed, and a bunch of players left, and it didn't look so good. I don't hate if he sits behind Ryan Tannehill for a year, but I think that he's a player that potentially works. I mean, we've seen in this league, there's a very small number of quarterbacks who actually work out who didn't battle adversity in college. He did, and he showed in flashes that he could be really good. Yeah, the second round, go for it. Hell yeah. A lot of people said they might take him in the first.
That's what I was
saying
too. But
there's a lot of teams that everyone's like, they could take him in the first round. If you can get somebody that you were really thinking about taking in the first round and the second round, that's good. Especially if it's quarterback, especially one that's considered to be talented but needs some polish.
Yeah.
So I really like the Will Levis pick. And frankly, I'm rooting for him because I do feel bad for the guys that everybody just laughs at all night.
Yeah.
As if any of us have any fucking right to sit there and laugh at this kid who was like told the entire time that you're going to go high, and then your heart gets ripped out on national television.
And you have to sit there and look stoic the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that's
so like, I feel bad for that.
Yeah.
And I think he's like, again, he had every reason to believe he was going to go high. He's no more like raw than Anthony Richardson. And by the way, you want to talk about a great way to compare the careers of the QBs in this draft. 3 of them went to the same division. So you want to talk about how you're all going to get compared for your careers?
Yeah, it's going to be
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And really what it's all going to result in is coming in second place to Trevor Lawrence for a while.
For a long time.
But when I saw that all 3 of them went like in the AFC South, it's like, wow. Yeah, that was my first reaction. I'm like, there's not going to be much debate about who worked out best.
Yeah.
No, I'm rooting for him. Part of it's personal, just of like, I just feel bad for the guys that have to just get embarrassed and everyone laughs at them.
Totally.
And I do think that he ended up in a place that while they're rebuilding, Tennessee is an organization that is a good organization now. Sure. They needed to hit the reset button, sure.
Yeah.
But the Titans in general are a solid foundation. They're a solid organization.
Vrabel's
There's a lot to like about the Titans.
Yeah. Vrabel's a great coach. He's it's
like,
a good system, good culture.
I think this is the type of thing where maybe this ends up being the best thing for him.
Yeah.
And I hope it is because, like I said, I got a soft spot for the guys that just are getting killed just for something that's completely beyond their control.
Yeah, so, that shit sucked. I was rooting for him the whole time to get picked at some point, and I don't know. I like Will Levis as well.
I mean, didn't wait long. Was the second pick of the second round. So
yeah, if I were him, I'd
still be a little pissed.
I would still be a little bit pissed, but I would have shown up to the green room the second day.
Honestly, I don't know, man.
I would have. I think that sends a great message.
It could, but I also understand at that point, you're like, man, well, he said before the draft, if he wasn't a first round pick, he wouldn't have been. If he was told that he probably wasn't a first round pick, he wouldn't even want to go anyways. Listen, I'm somebody that even if I knew I was going, like, was going to go high, I still might not want to go. Like, I
respect that.
There's part of me that I'm like, I would rather just be around my people.
And oh my god, I think I'd prefer that too.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I think based on the situation, I
would have gone back.
I'm not going to hate on anybody for how.
I'm not hating on them.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's just, that's not something that I'm choosing to read into.
No. And this is not even a nitpick. This is strictly just like, this is what I would do. Like,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like strictly comment.
You'd walk out there 2 middle fingers up.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Maybe that's a sign of my immaturity of that. Yeah. Like, I would feel like I would want to go there. Like, I don't know, like, for example, Drew Lock was there. Drew Lock was told you're probably going to be a first round quarterback. The next day, he went back there and got to do the whole draft process. And honestly, that's the way I kind of look at it. What is, you're only going to get that draft process one time. Like, would I rather personally prefer to be around closer people at home and do it that way?
Yes.
Yeah, honestly. But if I was given the opportunity to go do this, I think it'd be hard to pass up. And if I chose to do it and I got my heart ripped out, I think I'd want to go in the next day during my pick and be like, hey, you know what? Like, I can bounce back from fucking anything.
I get that, but I think part of the reason he was that he was just there at all was because he was told he was going to go in the first round, and I think that beyond that, he probably wasn't even that interested in being there.
Yeah.
So I get it,
well, especially because he should have just stayed home.
Especially because after the whole first night, all you're doing is people are just on your ass. I could get just being like, man, today I'm just gonna.
Then he should have just stayed home. And again, I'm not trying to hate on you, Will. Like, I genuinely, like, I'm glad. I think
this
of
all things is just not the thing I care about that he did. I get it.
I agree. I'm strictly commenting on it, but I would agree that I think this is the best position for him to be in. I think actually he's a Nashville guy. Like, he can genuinely be like Nashville's quarterback.
He could fit in Tennessee. Was school close?
He's a fantastic face of the franchise. Like, I think they brought in the right guy. I think. I'm going to make a bold claim now. I think he does the best out of the 3 quarterbacks who went to the AFC South in this draft. I think he does better than Stroud, and I think he does better than Anthony Richardson personally. I think he's gone to the...
I don't rule that out. I think this is going to sound crazy to say. I do think Houston is looking up.
Houston's looking up.
Like, I do genuinely think that, like, DeMeco Ryans is going to do a really good job with the Texans.
I have a lot of faith in DeMeco Ryans, but I think...
Anthony Richardson's the one where I'm like...
Anthony Richardson, and especially the Colts. That's just a bad mix, in my opinion. Will Levis going to the Titans is a great organization for him to go to. This is, this is a team that is... got the right culture.
If they like him, while they are in this rebuild process, they will build specifically to him.
And I think they're good at doing that.
Yep.
So I think, I think this is the best position he could have gone to. I'm excited about it. I'm glad it was a little bit later too.
Oh, they took a tight end.
They did.
Josh Wiley. Oh, from Cincinnati.
Yeah, they did.
Look at that.
Whatever. But
no, it's good.
So yeah, I think it was a good pick. I think it was a good draft for him solidly. Yep. I think it's a good turnaround, and once they get a wide receiver 1 for Will Levis next year, whoever they end up bringing in through the draft or free agency,
Marvin Harrison.
Oh my God, that could be fun.
They could be bad enough. If you hit the detonate button at the right time, you can be bad for a really good draft.
I would really like that actually, but I like the Titans, so I'm gonna root for them. But good luck.
No, I like the Titans too, and this it hits my heart right to root for these picks specifically. Where I'm I like this for Tennessee.
I like that I can root for this. Like I can root for this version of Tennessee still.
Exactly.
Like, especially if he takes over. If he becomes a,
and again, like I said,
Baker Mayfield.
I think that O-line's a good place to start. I think you get a QB that could potentially be good, and you can evaluate that. And you can do all that. They bring in a complimentary piece of Derrick Henry, especially as he gets older. You probably don't want to hand him the ball as much. Doesn't look like he's going to be traded.
Yep.
So, All right. Where do you want to go next?
We'll go Colts. Since we were just talking about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay. Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson from Florida at number 4. Julius Brents, the corner from Kansas State, at 44. Then Josh Downs, the receiver of North Carolina, 79, and then they get a tackle in the 4th round, Blake Freeland from BYU. I don't hate anything the Colts are doing.
I hate it.
I just find the Colts to be a weird situation.
They're bad. Well,
I find the Colts to be a weird situation, potentially for the same reasons as the Texans are, but I think the Texans handle it. I don't want to say a bit more gracefully, but this offseason they have. Where you have different people on different timelines because they were hired at different times. Where Ballard is probably on the hot seat in Indianapolis.
Sure.
Shane Steichen is not.
Sure.
And that, a lot of people, there's a lot of talk before the draft. Do the Colts actually believe in these quarterbacks, or is Chris Ballard's job on the line if he doesn't take one? And, Steichen's isn't.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a potential. I think we might have actually seen that in Houston, but Houston just responded to it very differently. Sure. We'll get to it.
Sure.
But Anthony Richardson is the type of quarterback they would like. They are huge into traits. He's got a lot of traits. I think in terms of him, he also could have gone in the situation that might have been best for him in that, for this specific scenario. With Shane Steichen coming from Philadelphia, where they had to go through a similar process to what they're going to have to go through.
Anthony Richardson, best situation, yes.
Yeah, for him.
Colts, no.
Yeah, I'm speaking specifically for him here.
Okay, yeah, fine.
They're coming.
I still take it back. No.
He's coming from a situation he's coming from a team that specifically had to do the same thing with their quarterback. I'm not saying it works out the same way, but I'm saying
no. I don't like the Colts franchise.
No,
Coach and quarterback. Yes.
Oh, well, that's all I'm talking about.
You are making.
I'm just aggressively neutral on the Colts.
So that is a great connection.
I look at them.
Correct.
I look at them like harshly objectively.
You are
they just
right
exist.
on the money. You are right on the money with that. I'm with you 100%.
just don't like them.
It is the best. It is the best quarterback coach combination that could possibly happen. Yes.
For those
I think
two,
Ballard's a fucking idiot. So
I mean, I've told you. I think I told you last year too, and I ended up being halfway right.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately right, which is that the Colts, even though everyone thought they were going to make the playoffs, they were really good at all the positions that didn't matter. It ended up resulting in essentially a detonation.
Yeah, and that's what I hate about this is that they went Anthony Richardson. Okay, I'm back to Chris Ballard. Like it's Julius Brent's cornerback. Like no,
I like Josh Downs.
I like Josh Downs. I would have gone round 2 fucking.
No, I agree. I was going to say we're around late, but I like Josh Downs.
Exactly.
I might have doubled up.
I would have done. I maybe would have fucking.
I might have gone.
I would have brought in a fucking tight end.
Because for example, he's another speed guy also. I think. Wait, let me see here.
Yeah,
I mean, he's small. He's a slot guy. So for example, again, there weren't a lot of big receivers in this draft. But I really do think that in the second round, I would have gone like Cedric Tillman in the second, Josh Downs in the third, and then bring them in with Alec Pierce, and you're like decent stable of tight ends, Jonathan Taylor. That O-line was not good last year. Some of that was injuries, though.
Sure.
But you do that, and all of a sudden, like, now we're potentially cooking here.
Exactly. And I would have either done that, brought in more weapons, or I would have just fucking said fuck it on the O-line, and I would have brought in a serious piece or two. But I don't know who's available.
They could have taken a flyer on DeJuan Jones at some point.
I would have taken
I would have
gone wide receiver round 2.
Let's see here. Let me double check here. Yeah, okay, so DeJuan Jones goes at 111. The tackle they took, where the hell did he go?
And I like Blake Freeland.
Yeah, the tackle they took, Blake Freeland, he went 5 picks earlier. So maybe that's not, maybe he's good, maybe he's this, but I think there's also a chance. I'm not going to hate on too much because they took the tackle. And again, based on everything I said about DeJuan Jones.
Fine, they took the tackle.
Potentially, I don't blame anybody if they were just out.
I would have gone heavier on O-line, just to be completely especially with the younger quarterback who's going to need some extra time.
I think they're going to, I think this is going to look like Justin Fields, like this year, where they are going to run like a motherfucker.
Yep.
And maybe he's better than we think as a passer. And like when you run the ball, it helps open up stuff.
Sure.
But it tends to help when you're not throwing to a collection of guys everybody thinks are just number twos.
Yeah.
Granted, okay, you got Pittman, Pierce, Downs. This isn't bad. And this is the type of thing where
you're still missing a one.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is the exact receiver group where if you bring in a true one, all of a sudden everything like level sets.
Yeah.
A 2's a 2, a 3's a 3, and we're good.
Yeah.
But they're missing the one. Granted, and I won't be a hypocrite here. I said I don't think there's a true one in this class. And if there is, it's JSN, and everybody's still on that. It's like they think he's just like a high-end slot.
Right.
Who knows? So I'm not going to hate on them for not going like receiver in the first round. Well, obviously they couldn't, but it's like
right.
So I'm not going to hate on them for being like, oh, you didn't get a number one because I don't believe there probably was one.
They didn't have an opportunity to get a number one, even if there was one.
But it's why personally I would have doubled up. I would instead of Julius Brents. I'm going Tillman and Downs, and
I'm doubling up. I mean, you got another corner, great. Obviously, Stephon Gilmore left, and you needed another one. But I wouldn't have gone round 2. I might have gone round 3. I would have gone wide receiver, prioritized it. But
okay, this is a philosophical thing on my end here. If I draft a quarterback, I don't frankly give a fuck about the defensive side of the ball in that draft.
Yeah, exactly.
When I bring in a quarterback, I have 3 years to evaluate you before I either pay you, pick up your option, something like that.
I can sign defense next year.
Yes.
When you're sitting on the bench.
When I am bringing in a rookie quarterback, that offense, as fast as possible, needs to be tooled up.
Yeah.
Because, again, the worst thing you can do is pay one of these quarterbacks when you shouldn't.
Yep.
The New York Giants are going to find out this year.
It's going to fucking suck.
So I wouldn't have gone defense because I just believe that when you bring one of these guys in, especially one who's a project, you need to find out really freaking quickly where this project is.
Yeah.
And if it's working.
Yeah.
So
and you need to
I don't hate the Richardson pick because I think that there is a situation where it's likely to work.
It can.
The Colts are probably better than some others. Like for example, say he had slid and gone to like Tampa Bay. I'd be like, oh, we're in trouble. Like for Anthony Richardson.
Sure.
That won't go well. There's at least some precedent of the coaching staff in Indianapolis understanding the undertaking.
Sure.
So
the front office just not understanding.
no, I agree. And that's why I said it's just a weird class because I think Ballard's on the hot seat and Steichen isn't. And everybody's sort of like working on different timetables here. And that tends to lead to some desperate decisions when you don't need to. And some decisions that the coach doesn't want because he didn't need it.
Sure.
So it's interesting. I don't hate this class. I would have switched out that second round corner for another weapon or an O lineman that you really liked if there was one there. So
yeah,
that's what I got on the Colts.
Don't
hate it. It's just like it's fine.
I think it's a disaster.
Listen, I'll put it this way: if Richardson hits the traits he has, like if he fulfills it, doesn't matter what they did afterwards. It worked.
True.
So
Whatever.
I'll put it like that because everybody's already said it. If he hits, he'll be the high end one. So
totally.
There it is. You just don't want him to be.
No, I have no issue with Anthony Richardson. I just don't think the Colts are known for developing project quarterbacks. They bring in a fucking.
Well, we also haven't seen them.
No, because guess what they've done?
Well, they
brought in Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And then immediately went to Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
And then guess
and
what?
And then the veteran trade.
Everything else has failed.
No, I understand.
So
they haven't. The Colts and the Packers were equivalent organizations of they had great quarterbacks and then just fell back on it. And didn't actually reinforce the rest.
Well, I would give Packers the credit of at least they drafted a guy and let him sit for a couple of years. This guy's gonna have fucking no time to do that.
No, I'm not comparing them one for one. I'm saying when they had the elite quarterbacks, they did the same thing.
Whatever, man. They haven't given me a reason to believe that they can fucking develop a project quarterback with a brand new fucking head coach and a GM who doesn't know how to fucking draft for the modern NFL.
I know,
but. Sure, if it totally works out, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. Well, again, here's the other thing. The AFC South is not a division that's, like, locked down.
I think it does get locked down very soon.
Could be.
So,
but
anyways, we'll talk about them shortly, but do you want to move on to Houston?
Let's.
Because I'm sick and tired of talking about Indy. Fuck them.
All right. Second overall, they took C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State.
What a mess this draft was.
Third overall, Will Anderson, edge, Alabama.
So stupid. I hate that pick.
Second round, Juice Scruggs, center, Penn State. And then Tank Dell, wide receiver, Houston in the fourth. I fucking love. I don't know about the CJ Stroud. I don't hate the CJ Stroud pick.
I hate it.
But I think there's a really good chance Will Anderson's the best player in this draft.
Then fucking take Will Anderson and keep your first rounder next year.
This is what I'm talking about. I told you that I think that the different timeline things could have come into play here. I think that the coaching staff wanted Will Anderson, but Nick Caserio and ownership were like, that's
the rumor I heard. So let me just address.
Well, I'm saying I think it played out just like that.
No, this is exactly. So here's the rumor I heard 10 minutes before the fucking draft. Which was, I'm hearing ownership wants to go C.J. Stroud. They're forcing the hand of where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Because everybody was talking about how they didn't see C.J. Stroud as a second overall, worthy. They were going to go Will Anderson. Totally acceptable. Fuck it, whatever. It's Chase Young behind Joe Burrow. Fine. Get that. What pisses me the fuck off. This is a win now move for a team that is nowhere fucking near win now, and I fucking hate this. You should have just let them pick Will Anderson because C.J. Stroud is going to fucking suck. And I don't mean that in a... C.J. Stroud could be fucking great, and I could be totally fucking wrong, and I wish that to be fucking the case because...
I'm not gonna lie, he won me over when I saw how hyped he was getting drafted. I'm like, good for you, man.
I know, he fucking, I don't care.
I
Like, I don't care. Like, and that's the thing is that 100%, like, this is fucking stupid. Like, if you're gonna, here's the thing, if ownership's gonna force your hand, just take fucking Stroud and move on with your fucking day. It's over. You're picking CJ Stroud, you have another pick fucking later. Fine, move on with your life. Pick your edge fucking
Here's one reason
later.
I'm really happy.
Pick Nolan fucking Smith later. I don't give a shit.
Here's one reason I'm really happy is that Will Anderson didn't end up being a Seahawk.
Fair enough. But the fact that this genuinely frustrated me. At the time, I was actually kind of excited
I
for
like it. I'm not gonna lie to
no,
you.
I was
Because they still have spare first round picks next year.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that this is a team that you're hedging the future on in the first, like, this is not how you rebuild a fucking team. If you're gonna go get Stroud, fine, give him a fucking year. And there's gonna be another fucking, you're gonna suck again because you're the fucking Texans and you're in the AFC fucking South. So you're gonna find a way to fucking suck some dick. And then you're gonna fucking have a great pick next year. You're gonna be able to get the fucking edge player that DeMeco Ryans really wants because he's not on a 1 year contract. He's on 6. He's not gonna be on a 1 year like hot seat situation.
Fired.
Exactly.
No matter what.
Exactly. And they love him. So here's what I'm saying. You fucked it all up. If you're gonna fucking do something stupid, if ownership's gonna be retarded and come in here and say, you know what, you're picking Stroud, fuck you, then fine, pick Stroud and move on. You have another fucking pick, what, fucking pick 12? You had 12. You fucking Nolan Smith, and I know what you're gonna say. You can say it in a second, but oh my fucking god!
What do you think I'm gonna say?
We'll get there, but fucking, it's so frustrating. This is a panic move. This is a Jets Browns fucking.
I don't think it's that level of panic.
No, I do. I think it's holy shit. You're giving up a first round pick, like. You should have just fucking said, fuck you, ownership. If you're gonna get fired anyway.
I would have traded the other first round pick. I will say that. They traded their first round pick. I would have traded the ones the Browns are giving you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would have done. That's really my only gripe with it.
This is a fucking panic move to get these. You know what? You're gonna force us to miss out on a guy that we want. Fuck you. We're not gonna miss out on our guy. This is a fucking teenager fucking level mentality move. Of if you're gonna take something away from me, I'm just gonna fucking.
Tell me, what do you think?
Loophole.
What do you think I was gonna say?
I just thought you were gonna be all fucking. Oh, this is a good pick. It's a great move for him.
It is a good pick.
First round next year. It's totally okay.
It is a good pick in terms of getting a player.
It's a fantastic pick, and you got CJ Stroud, and you got Will Anderson. Like that, you know what? On paper, holy shit, that's a Madden level fucking move to get two of the top players and get the second and third overall pick. But that's the thing. Then you start thinking. How is that so fucking easy to pull off? How is it so easy that you got a top fucking quarterback and you traded for the third fucking pick when you were the second pick from fucking 12 and you fucking somehow managed to get Will Anderson too? Maybe this draft fucking sucks.
Which is part of why I don't hate it.
Fucking whatever.
Here's the thing. They still have spare picks. Like they still have 11 picks in next year's draft, high ones.
Yeah, fantastic.
And
I know they do it.
You can turn that ammo into anything you want.
Yeah, that's great.
But here's where to me it works. CJ Stroud, I don't know that he'll be a great quarterback, but I do think he will be a solid one. And in the AFC South, as currently constructed, especially with everybody other than the Jags being on the same sort of timeline with their rookie quarterbacks, doesn't matter a whole lot. Like, if it works, great. You're not going to be back in this pool. If it doesn't, fine. At least one of those other teams, maybe even all three of them, will be in there too. You're not losing ground in your division by it. And then the Will Anderson pick, he is among three players that everybody was like, okay, best player in the draft.
Sure.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate bringing him in. I hate the circumstance that we're fucking.
I get it, but I also just think that, I mean, look, yeah, you pay the price to get the guy you want, but at least they didn't trade up and pick somebody that's not, like, at least they didn't trade up and pick Bijan Robinson. At least they traded up and picked somebody that if he hits, that is like a extremely defensive, like, entire side of the ball shifting type of player.
Yeah, that's Nick Bosa for Houston.
Yeah, and well, granted, everybody has talked about, there's only a couple players as prospects that are that caliber. Will Anderson is the closest in this draft.
Right.
And then he also doesn't have the off-the-field problems Jalen Carter had. Yeah, I mean, if that works, you just change, if say, for example, both these picks hit, if in all likelihood, Will Anderson will hit. CJ Stroud is the one where it's like it's a question because quarterback's always a question. But and a lot of people I've heard I've heard a lot of people say that Will Anderson likely plays better in the NFL than he did in college because in the NFL they'll find more ways to just unleash him. Yeah. Whereas at Alabama it was much less rush. It was much less used to do this, and yada yada yada. The NFL, he could potentially be even better than he was in college. So if that's true, the defensive side of the football in Houston is going to skyrocket.
Yeah. And you know what, good on him. I think it's a great... I'm glad they got him. That was who I thought they should have got.
I'm really glad he didn't go 5.
There you go. But anyways, it was a good draft. I just think the whole comeuppance of having to fucking deal with...
I get it.
It's just a fucking...
I also just love that a team picked back-to-back in the top 5. I just love that, too. I've never seen that.
I like that, but again, the situation, like, if it was 2 fucking phenomenal, crazy fucking picks, I'd be like, holy shit. No, it's fucking situational of, oh, we had Draft Stroud, and now we're going to tell Daddy, fuck you, we're also going to get the toy that we want.
Could be. All I know is, in a draft where you're bad, and you walk out with what some people consider the safest quarterback because of Bryce Young's size, and potentially the best player overall, that's fine. I don't hate it, especially when you still got spare high picks. Go for it.
Sure.
That's part of why you accumulate picks, is so that when you have somebody you want, you target them.
Sure. But you didn't have to target this guy. You could have just picked him and not have to pick him.
I get it, but that's why I said it was a weird dynamic, but I'm just saying it like,
I'm nitpicky, I guess.
You could be like, listen, a lot of people don't love that move. I just think that if you're going to pick a player on this draft that you were going to bet on, to be like, okay, if we trade up and get him, he plays a valuable position, he's hardworking, he's got no red flags off the field or really on it either, who would that be? And that is Will Anderson.
I get that.
So,
again, the scenario, I'm never going to be okay with this scenario of these 2 people, these 2 massive important groups of this football team who are choosing the direction.
I agree. That's why I think that you clear house. When you end a regime, you end it all.
Yeah, and
unless one of them is leaving like of their own accord, like they want to just go do something else, yada yada yada.
Right.
Like we see that a lot of times with long sustained runs of success. Sometimes people cycle in and out.
Yeah.
If it's not working and you need to blow it up, you detonate the whole thing.
Yeah, and this right here is why I think you have that issue, and this is why I think teams like the Texans in 6 years we're gonna be like, well, here we are again. Let's hope, they're doing all the right things. Like, let's hope it turns around.
Let's get on the Jags real quick.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Anton Harrison, tackle, Oklahoma in the first. Brenton Strange, tight end, Penn State in the second. Tank Bigsby, running back from Auburn in the third. Kind of underwhelming. Like, there's nothing here that really...
I think it's just role players.
There's nothing here that really gets me excited. There's also nothing here where I just, hate it.
Yeah, there's nothing egregious. Like, I'm not looking at anything and I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking retarded. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, no, this is... The Jags had very clear depth issues with, they need quality guys in different areas. You're obviously replacing Juwan Taylor with Antoine Harrison, so I get that. You want a little bit of tight end backup just in case Evan Ingram either is a one-hit wonder and falls off again, or you have a little bit of backup room.
Well, here's what I'll say about the thing I don't like about the tight end pick is why the hell didn't they take Darnell Washington? He went 30 picks later.
Man, I mean, you could have got him fucking with their 3rd round pick, honestly.
They could have.
Yeah. Tank Bigsby. I like the depth move just because they're running. Like, ETN can kind of be out sometimes. You already got rid of James Robinson, so you obviously need a running back. I guess picking one around 3 is fine. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of defensive depth in this draft where they just wanted to load up. They had a shit ton of fucking picks. They brought in mostly defense with a tight end and a running back. So.
I do think the defensive side of the ball is their weaker side of the ball, so I don't hate that.
No, I think it's good, but you're missing a couple of crucial key pieces for that offense still, in my opinion.
What?
It's missing that boomer bust firepower. I know they got Calvin Ridley, which I think maybe that's what it is with Calvin Ridley in, it'll feel a little better.
That's why I don't hate this. I was wondering about that
That's
and how you felt about that. That's why I don't hate that they didn't take a weapon.
I'm fine with them not taking a weapon.
They took a tight end, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but he's not expected to be the weapon.
You know what I mean, though, yeah.
I think with the third pick, third round pick instead of Tanks Bigsby, which, again, like I said, I get it. Honest to God, you can bring in an undrafted running back to be depth, and he'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
But so what I would say is I would have gone a little bit more heavy on the O-line. I would have given Trev as much more time as possible. Maybe I would have brought in a speed wide receiver strictly to have a little bit of speed. But personally, loading up the defense, I'm not going to be
at least with depth. I mean, my thing on the Jags is I don't hate it. It doesn't get me super hyped or anything.
Yeah, it's not a sexy
But I
draft.
also think that they are
it's not a super sexy
almost
draft,
shockingly not desperate for a lot of stuff.
It's a competent draft. You got a lot of great depth pieces. Is there anything that I'm going to be like, oh my God, we got this guy?
No. Aggressively average.
Yeah, but it's you know what? They'll probably get a lot of key pieces to really play
probably
for a decent amount of time. And
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I like it. Fill some holes.
Honestly,
and make yourself a little better around the edges.
I'm intrigued by the Jags this year. We'll see what's up.
I'm going to be rooting for you.
All right. AFC West.
Boom.
Where do you want to start?
Kansas City, because I actually think they had a bad draft.
Fair enough. Okay. First round. Felix Anadike Uzama, the edge from Kansas State. Second round, Rashee Rice, receiver, SMU. Third round, Wanya Morris, tackle, Oklahoma, obviously. And those were the first three.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing with the Chiefs. I don't particularly care what they do in the draft. It doesn't really matter. They're not going to be contributing a lot.
Sure.
Here's what I'll say. I don't really care what wide receiver they took. They're going to look better than the other ones. Just based on, it's true.
It's system quarterback.
Yeah, okay.
It's a whole system.
Great. Well, when the system works, it works.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's why it's called system.
Yeah, a lot of teams have those and they don't work. So, the last thing I ever really wanted to see in my life was Patrick Mahomes with a wide receiver whose last name is Rice. And that already annoys me. But
he's not going to do anything.
No, of course. He's not going to be any of these things. But the Chiefs are at the point where they don't necessarily need anybody to be definitely elite. Kelsey's in an interesting spot. He's at the age where any given time this could sort of start to decline. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but I'm just saying they're starting to get into that range with him where he's going in his 11th year, stuff like that. He's at wrong side of 30, mid-30s at this point probably. An edge defender on defense, sure, fine. Sort of the opposite type to Karlaftis last year, which that's cool. Get different types of players. Chris Jones is there in the center of it all on the defensive line. Nick Bolton's behind him. Not a great draft or anything like that, but I just have a feeling that they're sliding into such a good situation that they're still going to look fine.
Sure.
So I don't particularly care who they picked. It's just okay, cool. They're going to come in. They're going to look fine because it's way easier to look good when everything else around you is functioning really highly.
Sure.
So I agree with you. They didn't bring in a ton of killers.
No.
But it's just a matter of did they. I don't know.
It's stuff like this that I think kills dynasties, and that's kind of
which I'm cool with.
No, I'm cool with that. I'm happy that they had a shitty draft, but it's I don't know. They're key pieces in the draft that they've just consistently missed on, especially with these late picks when you have to nail them. Mm-hmm. I think this is just one more time where it's you know what, the downfall of the
they've done better drafting in the late rounds than the early rounds.
Well, yeah, but they get guys who they don't keep them.
I know.
They're never really super. The only two people that I'd say they've really absolutely knocked out of the park, and this is going to shock everybody, one of them's not fucking Patrick Mahomes.
That's too far ago to really talk about now.
It's Travis Kelce and fucking Tyreek Hill. Those two guys have been top fucking players in their position.
I'm going to go more modern.
Okay, well, that's what I'm talking modern. In this modern era Chiefs dynasty. I'm not talking in general all.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But what I'm saying is, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce have been the only two players who have really they've nailed that draft pick. Yeah, a little bit later on both of them, but it is what it is. But I don't think that Patrick Mahomes is one they just absolutely fucking nailed. He was one of the 3 quarterbacks in a shitty draft.
They nailed the development of him.
Well, no shit. You have Andy fucking Reid.
I know. Again,
Andy Reid, his brain is going to be, and especially if he's sitting for a year.
That's why I'm like,
he's already got the athletic talent.
That's why I think Rashee Rice is going to end up looking pretty good.
He probably will, but I think this is what you'll get people who look pretty good, but you're not going to get key pieces. They're going to crumble from the foundation, and then eventually it's just going to be Mahomes throwing the ball, trying to relive the glory days. So
cool. Let's go.
That's how I think it all goes.
Oh God, you're going to be so pissed when T. Higgins becomes a Chief. Could you imagine? Oh my God, Tyler Boyd's going to sign with the Chiefs.
That would suck, but I could see that happening. I would say that would never happen, but that would.
You're
suck.
like, I hope it never happens.
I hope it never happens. I hope he's better than that.
Don't you dare.
I hope he knows better.
Listen, we've seen people. You had somebody flip sides of that this offseason. It's not impossible to go the other way.
Oh.
Orlando Brown.
Oh, that's right. That's different.
Okay.
Joe Burrow.
Stop.
Patrick Mahomes.
We can sure.
Yeah, my bad. Get it wrong.
Yeah. Anyway. Sure. My thing with the Chiefs is like they're just not. None of these guys are going to be big contributors because there's not a lot of spots to contribute yet.
Clearly, they don't have to be, but. Time will tell, but I genuinely think that
I think the Chiefs,
this stuff that the Chiefs do that is going to lead to their downfall. I will put a stamp in it now.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs filled certain types of specific roles because when you're a team on their level, it's all you have to do. Granted, they could have gone with some different types of stuff. I'm not sure there was a really big speed guy left when they picked in the second round, but is what it is. I think in the next year or two, though, they're going to all of a sudden start looking for the next tight end. Oh, and knowing our luck, it'll probably be Brock Bowers. Oh, you almost threw up, didn't you?
Oh no!
They're gonna get like a high first round pick through a trade, and it's gonna be Brock Bowers.
Oh god, the Raiders are gonna have Michael Mayer, and the fucking Chiefs are gonna have Brock Bowers. So I'm gonna have a gun in my mouth.
You're just going to be longing for the taste of cold steel.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, but overall, Chiefs, I don't think it's a bad draft. I think that they're just doing what they need.
It sucks. You suck.
There it is.
Quit the league.
All right. Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
We got Chargers. I want to talk about Max Duggan.
Okay.
For like 5 seconds.
Of all the people you want. Okay. Round 1, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, TCU. Round 2, Tui Polatu. Nailed it. Oh, SC guy. The edge from SC. Round 3, Diane Henley, linebacker, Washington State. Round 4, Darius Davis, another receiver, TCU. And then way down there in the 7th, they did get Max Duggan.
It's crazy.
I don't hate this draft. I just don't trust the Chargers.
That's exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't hate the Quentin Johnston pick. I think if the receivers in this draft, if you needed somebody that's not just like an absolute shrimp out there, you would take Quentin Johnston.
I feel like they always draft wide receivers though, and it's either hit or.
Well, this is the thing that I found weird. If I was the Chargers, you already have somebody like Quentin Johnston.
I think that's why they wanted him.
Well, that's why I think it's weird. You just extended Mike Williams. They're the team where I'd be like, okay, this is where Jordan Addison comes into consideration.
Yes.
Or Zay Flowers or somebody like that.
I would have gone Addison.
No, I know you would, but I'm just saying the type.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just listing the guys that are in that vein.
Exactly.
For them, I'm looking at way more speed and space for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Quentin Johnston's fast. But he's not a blazer. He's fast for his size.
I think they went for a Keenan Allen 2.0 because they expect Keenan Allen to probably be gone soon.
Probably.
That's
fair. But I still think that we're all still just running the same routes in the same space with nobody to clear it out. And when you got an arm like Herbert, I want to bombs. Like we're going bombs over Baghdad. Okay.
Yeah. And here's how I run.
And for the record, my pick would have been Jordan Addison.
Same.
Or I wouldn't have hated them taking Michael Mayer. Or somebody like that.
Yeah, or Kincaid or something.
Kincaid. Kincaid was still there.
Yeah.
If they took Kincaid,
that would have been that would have been fun.
I think Kincaid went higher because I'm just higher on him.
Yeah. No, what's interesting to me is I like the Quentin Johnston pick. I think it's the right one. Like just because I know they like having two big physical guys on the outsides. But here's how I run my offense. I have a wide receiver 1 who's fucking insane. Like I have my Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like whoever I'm working with.
Your type, yeah.
They need to fit in my type perfectly, which is they need to be able to run fucking fast. Mm-hmm. They need to be, but they also need to be physical guys. So kind of like a Quentin Johnston.
Physical-ish in this era.
Yeah, physical-ish, like in this era.
Physical light.
Fair enough, exactly. So a Quentin Johnston type guy in that position. Mm-hmm. I like that. But here's what I'm saying is, I use a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 3. I have a wide receiver 2 because it's Madden. I can have whoever the fuck I want. So like I'll usually have like a Chris Godwin who's great for if I need to get in
a possession type.
T Higgins, a Chris Godwin. I have a speedster who can be physical but isn't fully speed. I've got a physical
who
guy
catches everything.
I've got a physical guy who can catch everything, and my slot guy is complete. Fucking
to me, my archetype for that second one you're talking about, which is tough, catches everything, gritty, is like Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, that type.
Where it's just like no matter what, you could have a linebacker cracking him in the chin,
and he's gonna.
That bitch is caught.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the fucking 4th and 6, and you throw a ball at a guy who's literally flying.
Or if you're super lucky, your one does it, and then you just have Julio Jones, Megatron, or Larry Fitzgerald. But
but
those are the extra rare types.
That's completely different. I don't think there's.
No, but I agree. But see, that's why. And to be perfectly honest with you, if I was picking a wide receiver in this class, the first one I would have picked would have been JSN.
Yeah.
But then after that, it would have been Quentin Johnston for me personally. But if I was the Chargers,
I would have gone Jordan.
I would have gone Jordan Addison.
I think,
and it's just because you're talking about having different types.
Yeah,
you're running out the same horse in 3 different spots.
Yeah.
So
I know, and that's the thing is that like it becomes easier to cover when you're working on Mike Williams and how to cover Mike Williams. It's like okay, rinse and repeat for this guy as well.
All of a sudden, when you motion one across the formation, you're now playing the same type. Everybody knows what they're supposed to do against the type.
It keeps the defense a little bit less honest. They can just kind of play basic concepts. Then you also have to deal with the fact that Keenan Allen is slowing down. So you have these 3 guys who are relatively of the same speed right now. I think
Keenan Allen's going to age nicely because his game was never very speed predicated.
No, he's going to age fine.
But you are right.
But he's aging, and he's not a speed guy.
He's the same age as Travis Kelce, or like came in the same draft as Travis Kelce.
Exactly.
They're both going into like year 11.
Exactly, and it's like, can you be productive and incredibly great at wide receiver year 11? Absolutely, you can. But you're not going to be a burner. Your route running is going to be what gets you open, and you're going to be open because of your route running. But people are going to be able to catch up to you. You've got 3 people here whose big focus is catching the ball and going down. I'm sorry.
Well,
Chargers, you need a fucking speed guy.
Do you also know what works really, really nicely for route runners? Somebody fast as hell to clear out the spot where you're running that route.
Yeah. So, and what makes it easy? Yeah, exactly. It makes it easier for fucking
it's a spacing thing, and it also means a safety or 2 needs to back up.
And they need to play honestly.
Now, granted, Quentin Johnston's fast. He's all that type of stuff. But he's a different type of fast. He's very like...
He's going to be able to be covered still.
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that he's a bad pick, because I do think he's a good pick. I think he's a good player. I just think that the Chargers picked a redundant player.
Yeah.
Now, I do like... I mean, theoretically, I like picking guys in the front 7 next. Because, dear God, that front 7... is Charmin. That is ultra soft. You can run on them all damn day. And
I did need some help there.
Yeah, and by the way, to the Chargers' credit, I will say this. When they took Darius Davis from TCU, might not be a great player, runs in the 4.3s. But that doesn't necessarily matter if you're not a threat.
Chemistry with Max Duggan, QB1.
Yes. Can we please not? If we have to watch Max Duggan play, we are in a horrible place.
That means Herbert.
That means something awful happened to Justin Herbert, and goddamn, I don't want that.
Hey, Duggan's a good quarterback.
I don't care.
But we don't want that. We want Herbert.
Yeah. But overall,
I think it was a fine draft.
I don't hate this draft. I just think that of the receivers, Johnston was just... He was just an interesting one for the Chargers specifically.
Yeah, that one's a little weird to me, and I would have picked Addison personally, but hey, if it works out, then
great.
Yeah, the right guy.
Then it worked.
So, yeah.
All right. Broncos or Raiders? Let's do Broncos because they didn't start picking until later.
Okay.
So we'll finish up with the team that picked in the first round. Yeah, the Broncos didn't start picking until again the second round.
Good call.
Okay. So, they got Marvin Mims, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, at 63. Drew Sanders, the linebacker from Arkansas, in the
I
third.
actually like that pick.
And then I was going to say, and then Riley Moss, corner from Iowa, white cornerback, first in the league in a long time.
Let's go! Room for my boy.
Let's go! Your boy.
My boy.
All right, and then later on, they got J.L. Skinner, safety from Boise State, and Alex Forsythe, center from Oregon, in the 7th. Honestly, sort of like the Browns, in terms of where they started, it's not bad.
No.
They got a decent enough wide receiver in there, another weapon, especially because you don't know, like, everything about how Sean Payton feels about the current receiving core.
Right. And the current quarterback.
Yeah, well, yes. But, again, if you're going to help them, a good way to do it is to bring in
people you
receivers.
Like. Yes, people you like for your offense. Absolutely.
Yes.
If you've started a Madden team, you've done the exact same thing. You've drafted people, you've brought in people who, I like this guy because he works well with my offense.
Yeah.
Like, or this defense, whatever. I love the Drew Sanders pick. I think that's great value at 67, actually. I think that Broncos defense is going to be...
They're going to be good.
They're going to be good. I think it genuinely comes down to...
I mean, you pair him with Singleton and Josie Jewell.
Yeah, I think it'll be
solid linebacking core.
No, it won't be bad at all.
Riley Moss, we gotta listen. It's gonna be tough to beat out Pat Surtain. But
I think he could. I like the pick and the value. Maybe you get a good slot.
You know what he is. He's a smart player who works hard. I don't even have to look at the actual scouting report.
Yep, to know what
heady guy.
Yep.
Works really hard.
Real gym rat.
Exactly.
Scrappy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Shows up real lunch pail.
Really high motor. Yeah. It's all effort.
Yeah. Football guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even need to look.
Yeah, you don't need to look. That's how you describe white guy in football. But I think it's great. I like the guy. He's a good athlete. So we'll see. Play for Iowa.
I'm gonna get you a Riley Moss jersey.
Fucking alright.
If I was gonna pick a Bronco, that'd be it.
Yeah, dude. No, absolutely.
I actually am probably gonna get a Broncos jersey because I just really like Surtain.
I see. Surtain's dope.
Yeah, I'm like, he was one of the players that year where he was coming out, I wanted us to get him.
Surtain's dope for sure.
Yeah, he was the player that out of all of them, I'm like, man, I really like Surtain.
That was actually genuinely one of the contention points of when I left the Denver Broncos, and I was sitting there as I was sitting there as a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I was like, "This is dope. I have Joe Burrow, and I've got Jamar Chase." And then I looked at my Madden defense. I'm like, "Where's Surtain?" I was like, "Oh shit!"
I would love to have Surtain. Yeah, no. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I like him.
But yeah, I love Surtain. I don't think I'd get another Broncos jersey.
Riley Moss and Pat Surtain, best corner duo in the league.
Filthy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they got.
I'm excited for the Sean Payton era. I actually I'm glad I'm watching it from the outside. So then, for the first time ever, I can watch a Broncos experiment.
Yeah.
Actually, second time ever. We'll call this the second time because I did watch a Broncos experiment without being a fan. That was Russell Wilson so far, and that's been hilarious. Watching it on the outside and not having it directly affect my mental health has been so much more fun.
Instead, we just get to the Final Four and then lose.
I'm okay with that.
I'm so not.
I'm to make it to the AFC Championship and win 1 out of 2. For us, for the Bengals, it's different. For the Niners, I understand you're pissed.
Well,
for the Bengals, I'm holy shit, we're competitive.
I'm also more pissed because every year since 2011, with the exception of 4 of them, essentially.
Sure.
I'm just getting blue balled by the Lombardi Trophy.
And
we've been in the Final Four every year except for 4 or 5 of the last 12.
And that I get.
It's God.
And that I get. That I'd be the same place as you. Or either get over the hump or we just blow everything up and start over and then try to get
pretty much. That's sort of where I'm at. We're exactly. I'm halfway to the point of you pick 3 or 4 players that you love and then torch it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you on that one. I think that may even be worse. But as a Bengals fan, it's cool to be in the situation that we're in right now. But it's I don't know. It's fun. I'm excited for the Sean Payton era because I have a good feeling it's going to end with Russell Wilson's career being over.
Here's what I'll also say. I've said this a lot. I believe the NFL is generally better when its traditionally good to great franchises are thriving. The Broncos have been down long enough. It's time for them to at least resurge a bit. No, okay. I'm not saying it has to be Russell Wilson.
One more year.
I'm not saying it has to be Russell Wilson or anything like that.
I wanted Stetson Bennett to be drafted there and take over so badly.
I bet you did.
So funny.
I
would
mean,
have been Drew Brees 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. No, so I mean, I think that the league's better when teams like the Broncos, who are usually good, are not god awful for 7 years.
They're just a quarterback away.
They genuinely are. So overall, though, in terms of picking, again, just like the Browns, like I said before, when you start in the third round or second round, like you start later, you have to adjust your perspective. But I think they did good. That's fine. That works. That'll play.
I will never believe in you again.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Prove me wrong.
They might. All right. On to the Raiders. Last up.
Boom.
Okay. 7th overall, Tyree Wilson, edge Texas Tech. Round 2, Michael Mayer, tight end Notre Dame. Round 3, Byron Young, defensive tackle Alabama. Trey Tucker, wide receiver Cincinnati. And those are most of the relevant ones.
First of all, it's Notre Dame.
Shut up. I don't really care. Now.
I do. Come on. Have some class.
The Golden Domers.
Come on, dude. Like, I'm a USC fan, but I'm like, come on, man.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I heard people.
Notre Dame.
I say people say shit a million different ways. Be
yeah,
quiet.
well, don't show up to Notre Dame and be like, Notre Dame.
I am obviously from the South.
I'm gonna kill you. Anyways,
ultimately,
so here's what up.
Favorite pick, Michael Mayer.
I like the pick. I hate the team.
Of course, good for. Here's what I will say is good for them, because I'm always on this with the Raiders. When you play in Las Vegas and you are gonna bring in a young guy and throw money at him, I would like to trust the individual. And I think Michael Mayer is somebody that can handle Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think he'd be. I think he'd have fun and be able to be responsible about everything else. And I mean, a lot of these guys are.
I don't think we're gonna get rugs.
No, yeah,
we're not gonna have the rugs pulled out from under us.
I think the organization is, if they're smart, has used him as an example of what not to treat Las Vegas as. I mean, it's a business trip. Think about it that way. Like, you're living in Vegas for business. Let's put it that way.
Tyree Wilson's a weird one.
I like the pick at 7.
I don't.
I think it's fine. I know you need edge to pair with Max Crosby, so you have an actual running mate.
We got Chandler Jones there too.
Yeah, but Chandler Jones didn't do that well.
No,
like
who did? Other than Max Crosby.
That's why you're bringing in Tyree Wilson, dude.
I heard he might not even play this year.
Tyree Wilson?
Apparently his foot injury is way worse. Like,
well, then this is a classic. Well,
apparently his foot injury is like bad.
Oh, this is a classic Raiders pick then.
Okay.
Oh, then I have no. Then
well, maybe or maybe it's just to start the year. But apparently, like what I was hearing, around the day of the draft, is people were.
Why wasn't I hearing any of this during the draft? He's got a fucking foot injury.
Well, he never did any testing through the entire process.
And you're gonna pick him at 7. I thought this was just a consensus. We knew he was gonna be good at 7.
No.
Oh, what were we doing?
No, he didn't do any.
The way the draft media has been talking to me, this is the guy.
Listen to that. Like, he didn't do any testing, no combine, no pro day.
They didn't bring up shit.
He was supposed to do a private workout before the draft, but his foot isn't good enough to do it right now.
Oh my god.
Here's the other thing. Also, okay, Tyree Wilson is like he's gonna be 20, maybe 24, 25 in his rookie year. He's had one good year of production, and his highest year in college was not as good as Will Anderson's worst.
So I really thought this was a fun play. Like, bring him in and like older guy produced
Here are his grades through college. 2020, 52, and this is on a scale of up to 100. 2021. 72, 2022, 75. And that's his highest grade.
Okay, I get it. I don't get 7th pick with
me neither.
Everything.
Yeah, if I was them, the pick I would have made if I was them is Gonzalez.
Yeah, they should have.
That's who I thought the Raiders were gonna hammer. Either that or I would have gone O-line with them. So
Yeah, no, they definitely, yeah. No,
like I just think it's weird.
that is a rougher pick than I thought it was. Fuck, in my head, the way that it was described to me by this draft media and shit, and like watching and going through everything, I haven't heard one fucking thing about this fucking foot injury. I've heard
He hasn't done it. He hasn't worked out at all.
25 years old, fucking guy who can be a stud next to Max Crosby, and fucking they could both tear up, and it made sense. I was like, yeah, totally, I would do that. Fuck yeah, especially because you have Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're playing with.
Trust me, you have to deal with that.
You have Mahomes, you have Sean Payton, and you have fucking Herbert.
Herbie goes bananas, dude.
Bro, I would think, okay, it makes sense. Get to the quarterback quicker.
Yep.
Put Jimmy G in a position to be successful with Josh Jacobs. No, this is
maybe they should have traded up to 3.
Maybe.
I don't hate that.
I would have loved that.
Like that's what we would have hated to see Will Anderson in a Raiders jersey.
I actually would have loved that move. Though I would have been like, Will Anderson.
You're like, God damn it, I can at least respect it.
I was like, dude, Will Anderson put seats in the fucking chairs in Vegas.
Seats in the chairs.
Seats in the chairs and then asses in those seats.
And then asses in the butts.
Yeah, double chairs. 2 tickets.
Double chair, double cheek. Let's go.
Dude, that is a financial fucking genius idea.
Yeah. No, I just think it's a weird pick because he skyrocketed because of just
intangible
reason. Okay, here's the thing that's weird. Everyone's like, oh, he's like this super high-end athlete. He never tested to show it.
Oh, that doesn't make sense.
We don't know.
I got duped.
He didn't show, he never blossomed until late.
It's okay for me to get duped. It's not okay for NFL teams to get duped. This is fucked up.
It's the Raiders.
They fucking fell for this shit. I would have, if you're gonna go with a fucking rusher,
I
would have just said fucking 8 and got Nolan Smith.
If somebody would have picked him in like the teens, I could get it because it's not a talent-rich draft, and you're like, maybe he is good.
Sure.
I just think the top 10 is rich, especially for a guy where there's a lot of speculation that he wasn't that great anyways.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this: if the foot injury might miss the year, apparently some teams were told he might not ever be the exact same as he was. So I don't
Raiders,
actually know.
what happened?
What happened?
They
fell in love with the dude that's massive and looks like he's got a ton of explosive traits.
Oh my god.
But we don't actually know.
Classic.
Do you know who he was compared to that I've heard a lot in terms of like a draft profile?
Who?
What's his fucking Trayvon Walker last year. The guy the Jags just like
fell in love with
passed on Aiden Hutchinson for.
Oh man.
Like, this is the same thing.
Classic
not
Raiders.
a ton of production in college, not a whole lot of anything. But just seems like an athlete type.
Yep.
And I agree with the philosophy of getting Max Crosby some goddamn help.
Yeah, makes sense.
I agree with the area and the side of the ball we were looking. I think that something else that helps pass rush is coverage.
Could be, yeah.
So you could do the Nolan Smith thing, sure. I also understand that the Raiders seem to have a type.
If that's what you were going for.
No, but here's my thing with the Raiders. They seem to have a type, which is big edge.
Bad players.
Crosby's a big edge. Jones is a big edge. Wilson's a big edge.
Sure.
They seem to not like the little guys. So I understand that maybe they personally, I don't agree with it.
Oh, expand your palate.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying I don't agree with it, but it's not shocking the Raiders might not have been in on him. But even if that's the case, take Christian Gonzalez and just make sure people can't throw bombs on you all day.
And give maybe 2 extra seconds to Max Crosby and you can make some magic happen.
Yes. Like,
what a fucking mess.
Mess.
What a fucking mess.
So, I mean, I don't love the Tyree rules. If it works, if he all of a sudden hits every single trait that he's never actually shown that he can hit, then great. But it is what it is. I think Michael Mayer's going to thrive, though. So
yeah, I do think he will actually do well, which is a problem.
Especially because this is the same offense that Rob Gronkowski was developed in, and he's been compared in some ways to that type of tight end. I think that's like a... We don't talk about comparing anybody to those types of players. Based on everything I've seen, the true comp for him is more of a Jason Witten. But the effort is there in terms of blocking and stuff like that.
I wanted him so fucking bad. I'm so pissed. This actually bums me out.
Yeah.
Because if he went to like a cool team with his jersey, it would actually be kind of sick.
Like
maybe.
The Chiefs.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine?
That would have been worse. Oh god,
dude! Imagine if that's who like Pittsburgh took at 32 instead of Joey Porter.
Oh god. I mean, granted, I would have laughed at them because Joey Porter was right there.
I know. As soon as he slipped out of the first round, I was like, 32 is Joey Porter.
Well, I heard the rumors. They're like, oh, people were gonna trade. Like the Steelers are gonna trade back. I'm like, no, they're not. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, why would they? Like, they have their fucking guy right here.
It is what it is. But overall, I like the Mayer pick, but the Raiders are just weird.
It's
man.
just weird. I don't like their draft at all. I think
Mayer's going to be great. Tyree Wilson's just like, it's way too high to take the flyer.
Yeah.
As we've been saying.
Yeah.
You don't take flyers in the top 10.
No, you don't.
That's how you pass on the players that were good. That's how you end up being the Jags.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, oh, look at that. They passed on Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody like that.
Oh,
and they got Trayvon Walker, who didn't do a damn thing his rookie year. Now, if he explodes and all of a sudden becomes awesome this year, great.
Good on him.
Good for him.
Right.
But as of right now, it's looking like what everybody else was saying is correct.
Right.
So, I don't love the Tyree Wilson pick, but I do love the Mayer pick.
Sure.
So you have it. What do you say we do the NFC next time? Because we've been going for 2 hours.
Yeah, that works for me.
All right, bet.
Go
So
for it.
this was the AFC Draft Recap. We'll hit you with the NFC soon. Peace.